Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Network.
That's right. Here we are. It is Wednesday night. We got a 3-hour show ahead of us. Myself, Lisa Ann, right here at Bettor Sports Network with my co-host, Rick Kamla, who's been a traveling fool. What's going on, Rick?
Lisa Ann, what's up? It's been a really fun 24 hours. I spent this morning at the Orlando Magic practice facility. It is all brand new. Joel Glass, the head of PR, took me on a spin around it. Lisa Ann, you would have loved it. He said, this is the best in the league. And I said, because I got a tour around the Hawks facility a few years back, and that's what they were saying at the point when they gave me their tour. Here's the highlight. Here's the highlight for me. You can talk about cryo chambers, and they've got an altitude room, and they've got nap rooms, and they've got all this stuff. You would be a kid in a candy store in this place, man. Check this out, Lisa Ann. Check this out. In the locker room, this is at their practice facility, not at the arena, right? So at the practice facility, it's posh. It is deluxe, 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 all the way. They have walk-in closets at their locker, not just a locker with some room behind them, right? Like literally they walk in, shoes all over the place, clothes, uniforms, the whole thing.
That is fantastic.
I thought of Charity and you when I saw that, right? Like a walk-in closet. What woman doesn't love a walk-in closet?
I'm sorry, but I'm more about the cryo chamber. They have one at the facility. Is it a full body or is it the one where your head is out?
It looked like a stand-up, like you're going into a shower, but it's not a shower, and it was kind of big for these 7-foot human beings.
Sure, that's the thing, because there was one in LA that was tall enough for the NBA players, and the rest of them, their head was out. And when I would go into the head one, my head's like out to here, right? They have to push up this stand below you. But when they would go in, it'd be like they're only into their shoulders, and I'm like, so weird. Cryo is the best. I'm going tomorrow morning. Well, we're going to get to that in the NBA segment, but we got to talk a lot of NFL. Here we are facing week 6. We've got one undefeated team left. And did you predict that it would be the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, heck no. I had them in the playoffs, Lisa Ann. I did. I thought they'd be second in the NFC East behind your Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? The NFC East is so much better than all of us thought, right? I thought it was going to be, Dallas and Philly, and Washington is, I guess, to a degree, who we thought they would be. The Giants aren't. But Philly's a freight train, Lisa. And last week, there were voices, and they weren't wrong because Arizona covered the spread, but there were voices saying Arizona was going to pull off the upset. And these are bright voices that we have on our network here. I was like, I don't see it, because Philly's a freight train right now. They're finding different ways to beat you. They beat you in a down-in-the-mud 20-17 game at Arizona, winning ugly. What I liked about that game, Lisa Ann, is Phil. Okay, let me ask you a question. When you think of the city of Philadelphia and the vibe of the people in Philadelphia, what's that vibe that you get?
Aggressive, not Cowboys fans, not Dallas Cowboys fans, not a friend of the opposing team at all. You don't go in there wearing the opposing jersey. I think a lot of aggravation, a lot of aggression. Yes.
I think bully. So I'm saying a word, we're using the same words to talk about the same thing. I think a bully. Okay. And here's what Philadelphia did. I believe it was on their second touchdown. I think they had a 4th and 1. It was a sneak by Jalen Hurts. And then they were at the 2-yard line. They ran another sneak, didn't get it. They ran another sneak and didn't get it. They ran another sneak and pushed it in for a touchdown. They didn't run play action. They didn't go Philadelphia special. They basically went quarterback sneaks, several of them in a row, by Jalen Hurts, and he ultimately got in, and the offensive line was flexing like they were bullies, right? They literally pushed the opposition into the end zone over a series of plays. That's what I like to see. This team has backbone. They've got a quarterback that's balanced to getting it done with his arm. Miles Sanders is overachieving. Devontae and A.J. Brown are getting numbers. Goddard's getting numbers. They're a freight train, man.
They really are. And I don't still think at this point, being the only undefeated team left, they're getting enough talk. We're all talking about the Buffalo Bills because we love what we see in Josh Allen. But now we're going to see a game that everybody is going to watch. And that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys having to travel to the Link and play in that bully dome, we'll call it, that bully zone there. This is going to be a big game. And, I try to temper my expectations as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm still shocked we're 4-1. I don't know how we're getting it done because I'm seeing so much more potential from so many other teams. The depth, and like you just said, Jalen Hurts is just peppering the ball around so hard for defenses to prepare. And that's even going to be tough for the Dallas Cowboys, who do have an awesome defense. And I thought we'd be relying more on the defense, which we are, but we're still without Dak getting it done. This game is going to be intense from the second it starts. I can feel it already. And it's going to be that game. It's not look away TV. It's you leave that game on. You're afraid to even change the channel commercials. I know you got the 4 TVs going. I only have 2. So what I do is I keep one on Red Zone and one on that standalone game that I love. But a lot of times I do the previous channel bit, where a commercial comes on, you're like, all right, I'm gonna bounce over to that other game, watch that. This is one where I'll be afraid that this is gonna come back from commercial and I'm gonna miss something.
It's all about that button right there, Prev. Right,
Yep.
right by my index finger right there. Prev. You just hit Prev. That's how you watch 2 games at once. Like you're saying, on the same TV, you got your game, and then you're like, all right, you got a downshift game. So anytime there's a punt or a kick or a kickoff or a commercial, boom, you go over. And then in the second half, you really toggle, right? Because you want to then see, all right, play. Those mental gymnastics on Sunday, I love them, Lisa Ann, because there's no other time of the year in any other sport where we play these games. There's not. You don't do it for the NCAA tournament. You don't do it for NBA, right? You just pop on games and leave them on. You're not necessarily toggling like with the NFL, where you're just so thirsty for every play. And in terms of that, I love how there's like 30 seconds in between every play, right? They give you time to bounce and then come back and catch the 3rd and 8 and all that kind of stuff.
It's true. Now we've got one in comments right here. We love that we get these live comments, but if the Cowboys go in and win, I'd be worried about Dak coming back and throwing off the chemistry. That is part of the conversation right now, right? Cooper Rush doing such a great job. What's this going to look like? What's it going to be like? But I do think the team is going to welcome Dak back just like they did. But it is a thing, right? Now you feel like Dak's kind of coming in cold. This is a decision to make, but we're paying Dak the big money. So you got to kind of play him. What are you going to do? And there's a lot of teams that are going to be facing the return of maybe a quarterback that may not be as good as that second string quarterback. And so I'm really looking forward to this game. And you're right. There is no other sport that you do this. It's the Sunday night game, Rick, where I actually finish my laundry and I do my folding at commercial. Cause you're not flicking back and forth.
Right.
You're like, these commercials seem so long. You know what I mean? I can fold and put away my laundry, but that's what I do. We're going to continue to cover everything that's going on in the NFL. Second hour, we've got a guest. We're also going to do some NBA talk. We've got a jersey giveaway. Last week, we were talking about Giannis and the pronunciation of his last name. Well, this week, we get to give away a signed Giannis jersey. How do you like that, Rick?
Are you serious right now? We're giving away a signed Giannis jersey?
We are. And guess what? You're not in the running. Sorry to tell you. You know what I mean? This is for the fabulous viewers right here at the Bettor Sports Network. But I want to talk a little MLB with you. Something I really pulled away from that I got to lean back in. So I'm going to be like a game show host right now, Rick. I am just going to throw to you what you've been seeing, what you like. I did hear some controversy going on with a game when it came to the Mets the other night. You may need to give a little intel on that, but talk about last night's game and how you're feeling about the postseason so far in the kind of a foreign subject to me right now that I'm going to be getting back into, the MLB.
Well, in terms of tonight, like we're in this never-ending rain delay here with Philadelphia and Atlanta, and I was traveling yesterday, wasn't it? I watched a good chunk of the Yankees and Guardians game, but traveling to Orlando and doing shows and stuff, so I wasn't really able to. You know me, I'm sitting and watching these games and all this kind of stuff. But I caught up on what happened in the games, and it's funny how Nick Castellanos, who was terrible. He's 30 and 100 every year, and this guy gave us like 20 homers and 60 RBI. He got hurt, missed like the gut of the playoffs. Like in head-to-head fantasy baseball, he was awful. He had a monster game yesterday. Bohm had a good game. Fried got lit up, and Philadelphia has a spark and a mojo about them right now. Going into St. Louis and buzzsawing them, going into Atlanta and buzzsawing them in game 1. They got up on Atlanta. They got Atlanta thinking twice. Fried was getting beat up, and they held on and won. So I'm fascinated at what. Look, to me, the season's on the line here for Atlanta. And they've got Kyle Wright on the mound, 21 wins, led Major League Baseball. But Wheeler's on the mound for Philly. And so that's not that's a great matchup. Atlanta might lose tonight. The defending champs might lose tonight. Then they're 0-2 in a 5-game series and probably going home. Monster game. The game with the most intrigue of the night, I would say, is that one. I'm excited for that one in terms of Philly and Atlanta, and it's still not underway. So,
man, that's got to be so hard on the players going cold like that, right? You're preparing to play mentally, you're getting in the game, you're waiting this out. You kind of get hungry. You can't really eat because you don't know when the rain is going to stop. It's way worse than freezing the kicker because you're freezing both teams out waiting on this what if. Now, is there a flexibility in the schedule if by chance this game didn't get to be played tonight? Our producer just chimed in and said the game's going to start in 20 minutes.
20 minutes to Braves and Phillies. I'm telling you, folks, it's the game of the night. I do like Atlanta tonight. I don't think, I break down numbers, Lisa Ann, and in the regular season, I'll leave it at that. But the playoffs are so unpredictable, man. Like that Mets series, and maybe it's not, maybe it's just one series. Like I did not have a handle on Mets and Padres. I did not. I thought the Mets were going to win game 1. The Padres won game 1. I thought the Padres were going to win game 2. The Mets won game 2. So in that particular series, I didn't have a handle on it. But Atlanta and Philly play each other so much, right? They're in the same division. They play 19, 20, 21 times. They know each other. There's no fear. Oh, the Braves are, it's like they just want to beat each other. They're rivals in the same division. That makes Philadelphia really dangerous to me because overall, I feel like Atlanta has more talent, but not that much more talent. But I see the series going long. I see it being a cat and mouse series. So, I do like Atlanta tonight. I don't feel great about it though. I really don't. Cause Philadelphia, like we said, is a buzzsaw right now and Atlanta's had time off and they're sort of getting it cranked back up. But, that's my view tonight. I think the Braves win it.
And then the late game, you get the Slam Diego Padres going to Los Angeles to play those Dodgers. We know this is quite an exciting series for those in Southern California. It's an easy to travel up there. Everybody does the trip. Dodgers Stadium is just nostalgic baseball to me, other than the fact that there is only one entrance to and from the parking lot, which is a nightmare. Okay. The traffic, you will park, doesn't matter where your seat is. Your only goal when you go to a Dodgers game is to not park on the other side of the lot. So you will find yourself walking all the way around to stay, but it's still an epic stadium. There's history. I had to do a tour of Dodger Stadium when it was closed. So it was off season. It was so interesting to know how they structured the seats, the colors of the streets, the seats, the meaning behind everything. But that's a series that the West Coast is going to be so keyed in on.
Do you remember when Larry David took the prostitute to the Dodger game?
Well, he needed the carpool lane, Rick.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, when you need the carpool lane, you got to do what you got to do. Remember, at that same time on Curb, that same episode, Larry was trying to get into a new country club, right? And the people from the country club saw him with that woman, oh, we need more Curb Your Enthusiasm. Let's go Dodgers. We got from Essie in the room, but a little baseball talk there. And I thought I'd bring it to you before we get back to.
I do have a prediction. On this game.
Let's do
it. So Lisa Ann, and everybody listening here on Bettor Sports Network. So going back to the Mets and Padres series, the first game, Scherzer against Yu Darvish, great pitching matchup. The reason I went with Max Scherzer that night, and he got exploded, the worst start of his career. 4 homers, 7 earned, and 4 2/3. Yu Darvish was the man that night. He was Cy Young that night. Yu Darvish had a 5.18 career postseason ERA. That stuff matters to me. When you've got a bulbous career ERA, that means you're a choke artist. Maybe you're not that good. You've been banged around in these types of games. Where Scherzer, obviously, he's future Hall of Famer. He had a 3.22 career playoff ERA coming in. Those are strong trends for me. Poosh! The whole thing blew up in my face, right? Okay, prove it to me again. You are now at Dodger Stadium against Clayton frickin' Kershaw in game 2 of this year. LA won last night. Really a lot of pressure on San Diego right now to get the win, even it up. If you go down 2-0 to the Dodgers, I know you got home games coming up, but the math of a 5-game series and that 2-0 lead are huge. So I think it all conspires to a Dodger win tonight. It's a little rich at a -190. But that's my official tout tonight, and I'm officially on the Braves as well. I was cooking in the regular season, Lisa, and so I'm going to try to stay hot. I was 16-8 on money line advice in the regular season, so we'll try to stay 2 out of 3 on the people.
Let me ask you this. Do you have a World Series prediction? And does anybody else in the chat have a World Series prediction they want to share with us? I will shout you out. We will take notes so we can keep this on tape. We do record these shows and we can reflect back on this when the World Series is actually happening. So who do you have, Rick Kamla?
I have the Houston Astros, Lisa Ann. And
I'd love to see that.
we saw, okay, first of all, why would you love to see that? Why do you say that? I'm curious.
I would love to see this because I have so much love for my people in Houston,
Good
right?
call.
Sean and Amy. Yep. And Sean and Amy. And so, they did a baseball tour 2 summers ago, not this past summer, the summer before, and they fit me into their baseball tour, and we got to spend a New York day together, and it was such a spectacular day. And also their wedding. So their wedding was the week before the world shut down, and they had their entire wedding themed from the base stealing from the Houston Astros. They did their wedding photos at Minute Maid Park. They had the Gazette newspaper, like everything on everybody's seat about them stealing signs in the wedding. And so for me, it's about them kind of getting a payback, that city, kind of getting over that hump. Look, there's a lot of people that paid a lot of price for what went down there, but there's also a lot to be celebrated with our friends in Houston.
That's very, very cool. So quick timeout. I'm on the clock. You might have heard that right there.
Yeah. What are you drafting right now?
The clock. Pardon me?
What are you drafting right now?
Well, I know I'm just like all over the place. Just push the pause button here for a minute. Because this is what we do. We're just
you draft. Right, I'm going to read our predictions. So my friend Scott. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
My friend Scott in the room says he predicts. Let me scroll back down to that. Houston and the Dodgers in the World Series. Let's see. We've got easy money on the Dodgers in the Yankees from Wolf Den. And Better Boss says he's holding Mariners AL Champ and World Series tickets from preseason. Okay. All right. And you're drafting. That must be a fantasy basketball team.
It is. So it's a 30-team league. You want in next year? 30 teams you want? I could work it out. You got a big name. I could get you in this league.
No desire. Okay.
30 teams. You don't want to play a 30-team league. Okay.
I do not ever want to play in a 30-team league. That sounds so incredibly stressful. What is on the waiver wire? Do you know anyone on the waiver wire? I mean, is there even a waiver wire?
I got the 2 ways in the fringe NBA G League guys in my head too. But so we are now in round 5. Okay, round 5. It still should be rich with talent in a regular draft. 30 teams. My decision right now is coming down between Spencer Dinwiddie, John Wall, Steven Adams. I wanted either Cole Anthony or Jaden Ivey. They were both just poached right before me, and so I'm going to bang Steven Adams right here.
Are you? Okay.
I'm taking the big. I believe New Zealander. I was going to
say Dinwiddie as well. Producer says Dinwiddie as well, but we don't know who your other 4 players are, what stats you're looking to fill, as the importance. Tell us.
So I'm kind of wide open here. I've got Kyle Lowry. I just drafted him in the 4th round. Donovan Mitchell was my 2nd round pick at 45th overall. I don't know how that happened. My 1st round pick was Anthony Davis. At about 15 or 16. I was I think 15, right in the middle, right? And I like being right in the middle for this kind of thing. You don't go too long without picks. So Anthony Davis first, and then Donovan Mitchell. Then last night in Orlando, I was hanging out and took Paulo Banchero. So, and then I took Kyle Lowry in the 4th round. And I made that pick today, right when we ended our shoot at the Magic practice facility. I literally had 50 seconds left to go, oh, wait, I think I'm on the clock. Boom, boom, boom. I looked at it. I had 50 seconds left. And I took Kyle Lowry, so I even hope that was the right pick. I had to make a quick decision. Life's coming at me fast, Lisa, and life's coming at me very fast. And so now I'm in a situation where Steven Adams is the last premium rebounder. There are no other guys.
Okay, I understand what you're doing.
I don't want to take Steven Adams right now. I don't.
I understand what you're doing, though.
I would rather take.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're looking to fill the stats properly because it's going to get slim pickings, even more slim pickings, and there will not be an elite rebounder left for you at all in this draft with so many people.
Especially not 30 picks from now. That's how it goes. I'm in the middle. Every pick, it's like 30 more until you go. I love the look on your face right now.
I'm
It's
so
hilarious.
traumatized.
You're like bless your heart, right? Is that what you're gonna say? Like the Southerners say about people they pity, bless your heart?
Bless your heart. I have a couple follow-up questions for you. Is this also a slow draft?
It is not. This one, they should do it a slow draft, but they don't. It's like you got a half hour. It's 30 teams. They waited until the beginning of this week. Cam Dynasty, my 14-team Dynasty League, it was a slow draft. Hell, our draft was over before Media Day. I wanted to get out in front of this, have a bunch of time in elbow room. People had 48 hours to make a pick if they wanted. But I got to take Steven Adams. Here's why I'm not taking Dinwiddie. Because there's other guards that are going to do similar stuff. He's the best guard out there. I would like to take him right now, but there's going to be other people that are close to him statistically later in the draft. There's nobody close to what Steven Adams is going to bring. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is out for a long period, maybe a long period of time here, which means more goodies for Steven Adams. And they just paid him, which means he's a big part of their plan. So I just drafted Steven Adams. And why I have Houston, Lisa Ann, why are you shaking your head?
I just want to light a candle for the other 29 people in this league. I mean, to be a 30-person league, but that's your mind. You have that in your mind. You have the depth of the league. You have to really know the league. And more than like the casual fantasy basketball player who's in a 10 or a 12 team league. I think a 12 team is a sweet spot. I feel the same with MLB and NFL, because you know what? Every time I'm helping someone with a lineup and they're in a 10-team league, you have too many good choices, right? You've got too many studs on your bench, too many studs on your team. You need to know who your just backups are. And you really don't in a 10-teamer, but 30 teams. It's just stressful.
I can't stand 10-team leagues. I got in my last football Yahoo public league this year. I usually go into the private leagues and find an IDP or an IDP dynasty or just a dynasty, something that's cute and clever and down my alley, as opposed to, and so I'm in 5 or 6 hockey leagues on Yahoo. And they're regular public leagues. And that does it for me in hockey. I don't need more than that. They're 12-team leagues, okay, standard. In the in the NBA, the regular public leagues are standard 12 teams. I don't understand why they don't do that with football. To me, it's a complete mistake by Yahoo. Also, I got to call out ESPN. They don't have the right position designation on Karl Anthony Towns. And for the love of God, he's a first-round pick, 6th or 7th overall guy. Let's get it right with one of the best players in the game. They've got him at center only, and he's going to play power forward this year. They brought in Rudy Gay.
And that,
you
dummies. Know what? That really matters in a fantasy basketball lineup situation. It really does. It saves you. Also, it saves you when you use all of the spots at that position, when you have an injury. Like that's, you're jockeying around for an 8 months of a season, right? You need to have that kind of flexibility. And it's bizarre that they don't have him, of all people. It's not a small website. It's not a small company, but that's that. Huh. And more power to you. I mean, we might want to start a fantasy basketball league, 12 teams, no more than that, for the show. We know that we have a DFS challenge out every week in NFL. We'll be doing that in NBA as well. But I'm really glad that you made that draft pick, and you really, that was a flex, Rick. Okay. That was a real flex. I'm in a 30-team league. Like, first of all, I imagine by round 7, you're like, let me look up everybody that's left right now. And that's only round 7.
Look, we're in round 5 and we're in waiver wireville if it's a 12-team league, and we're in the 5th round. But it's a mind boink. And I like mind boinks. I do. It does it for me. Now, in terms of Houston, and I'll make this quick, why I got them winning it all. To me, you've got to check 3 boxes. And it's obviously your lineup and the starting pitching in the bullpen. Nobody has starting pitching like the Houston Astros. When you talk about obviously Verlander, and he got lit up last night and they won the game anyway. And Valdez and McCullers and Javier's a swing guy. Hunter Brown was out there, pitched a good inning last night. Urquidy's available for them. They got a million guys. The bullpen goes like 5 or 6 deep. They've got the veteran guys who have been through big games. And then their lineup, it's not quite what it was. You don't have Springer. You don't have Correa. But Pena's been really good for them. And you still have the mainstays who are all like at the peak of their game right now. And I'm not even going to play the sentimental card with Dusty Baker. I'm not sure how much of a motivational source that is for the team. But dang it, it would be cool if he got this one. But it's not about that. It's about you know me, I'm an on-paper guy, right? I'm a roster evaluator, and they have championship experience and DNA, which matters, but they just have the best roster in baseball. And I got them beating the Braves, Lisa, and that's why, like I said, we'll find. I mean, so the team I picked to win the National League is on the ropes here tonight against Philadelphia. So I'm watching this game with bated breath.
Well, if anything major happens, you need to tell us. We got the producer on as well to make sure if anything happens. But yeah, this would be great for Houston. You know, you and I initially met in Houston. So there's a lot of fond memories in Houston.
Yes.
And speaking of Houston, they are one of the 4 teams on bye this week. And so I wanted to play the song Bye, Bye, Bye by NSYNC. Not that it's a good song, Rick, but I thought, you know what? If I bring us in with this song, then I'll be like, yo, Bye 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 is dedicated to bye week so that everybody remembers that we've got the Lions, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Titans on bye this week. This is just the beginning. I love how we get 4 teams on bye to just remind us of like, hey, not only do you need to pay attention, you also may have to make some decisions. You may have some players that you're not able to hold on to because you're spackling some holes, right? You're filling some spots. It's not ideal, but like put me in the situation of every time I draft I pick up a backup quarterback because my quarterback is injured. The backup quarterback gets injured. I think a lot of people were really starting to rely on Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce was all the hype before the season started. He's had quite a few big weeks in a row. You're getting comfortable with him. Well, guess what? Your security blanket's been taken away, and now you've got to pivot.
You do. And the bye weeks create, like you said, those situations where, like in a dynasty league, so you stash running backs, right? Tyrion Davis-Price, he's not playing, you stash him. Kenny Gainwell, Khalil Herbert, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashad White. You don't want to drop these guys. They're hotshot running backs. They're not really playing, but 2 years from now, what do they become?
Right.
And then the bye week comes. You're like, someone's got to go. And it's this, do I want to take a hole at a safety position, or do I want to move one of these running backs to get it? And then you weigh, the badass safety that you may have to cut. But these are the machinations that we have to do. And it's tough. I had to say goodbye to Pacheco in a league last night. Didn't want to do it, but I'm a competitive guy. I'll figure it out. I'll take another hotshot running back next year. Maybe I'm able to keep him as opposed to now having to drop Pacheco. But I can't take an open spot in my lineup to keep. It's a dynasty league, and hopefully there's some churn and burn with other guys like Pacheco, and other teams get into these bye week quandaries. But it definitely forces you to make some tough choices.
Yeah, we got to pay attention to that. And we've got a guest that's going to join us. And we're going to go a little bit further in that conversation of these bye weeks, some easy kind of players that you can just utilize. And look, you're not going to get your Josh Jacobs points, but you might get 8 to 10 points. So that's better than having a total donut. So that's what we'll be talking about after the break. We'll be joined by Matt Donnelly of Fantasy Vipers. And stay here, because at the 8 o'clock hour, we're giving away a Giannis jersey. Not just a Giannis jersey, it is an autographed Giannis jersey right here on Bettor Sports Network.
Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla are live on Bettor
Fantasy,
Sports.
collectibles. It's sports talk done better. Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Right now, Ray, it is Cooper Kupp and nothing with this offense.
There goes Kupp. Needs a block, gets it. 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Cooper Kupp.
And Kupp, to his credit, still gets his. But Ray, it's almost like this offense is so fixated on Cooper Kupp that nothing else. We can all complain about Stafford and the numbers, Ray, but the dude is getting murdered. Like there's no way he's making it to week 10 at this pace right now.
Am I a Stafford backer? Yes. Did I think his arm was going to be fine? Yes. Has his arm been fine? Absolutely. His arm's totally fine. The elbow issue that we were all concerned about is not a thing. However, everything else is a massive concern. As much as I have to support Stafford, I have him in a couple leagues. I've supported him when people have asked questions. I'm no longer supporting Stafford. I can't. It has nothing to do with Matt Stafford. He's totally fine. The offense is broken, straight broken. And this offensive line somehow is only 31 out of 32 in pass blocking over at Pro Football Focus. I have no idea how the Titans are worse. They can't even set a pocket. And he's getting hit on every play. There were about 4 times yesterday where it looked like he got knocked out of the game, but he soldiered through it. This offensive line is horrible. The coaching staff and Sean McVay, you guys, you suck. Straight. I mean, you're the Super Bowl champ, and this is what you're putting out there. Like, when you're going well, everyone loves you. And we've joked around, if you used a urinal next to Sean McVay once, you have a coaching job in the NFL. Where's Boy Wonder? There's nothing. This offense is horrible.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
Geno Smith is like a savior right now, which
It's a joke.
we would have been laughed at if we said, even in week 2, if we said it. And right now, he's playing great football. And
Roland, how much of an idiot am I? I mean, all the shows we were on together, I would repeatedly say, I'm not touching Metcalf, I'm not touching Lockett.
Everyone said that. I mean,
Metcalf especially, because for a while he was going in that like mid-4th round. Lockett, at least, you could get him at a decent value, the 7th, 8th round towards the end of draft season. But I was still like, I don't trust Geno. I'm not going Metcalf. I'm not going Lockett. I said it 1,000 times, and Geno Smith's been turning heads.
I did draft Geno in a super flex best ball league. I think as my 3rd quarterback, but I didn't expect this. I just said, well, he's starting. I thought maybe he might lose the job at some point to Lock, but I'm like, he's starting, so I took him. But this is in for leagues with 6 points for a passing touchdown. Josh Allen is averaging 36.1 points per game. Lamar's at 31.8, Mahomes 28.8, Hurts 27. And then there's a drop off to Goff at 23.8, and that includes his crappy game this week. So Geno's at 8th, 23.5. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
Bettor Sports Network is betting. Fantasy rules. It's sports done better.
Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
Yo, VIP. Let's kick it.
We are back right here, Bettor Sports Network. Rick Kamla, myself, and we are joined by Matt Donnelly of the Fantasy Vipers, who you can follow on Twitter at Matt Donnelly FF. Matt, thanks so much for joining us right here.
Hey, I'm always glad to jump on the show here. We've had a couple of opportunities there with Rick the last couple of weeks there, and he's actually managed to withstand me there for the first half hour or so. So hopefully I live up to the expectations heading into this week here, because we've got we got the Denver Broncos on primetime TV yet again this week. So, I mean, I guess there's worse things than me that we could be watching right now.
Well, I got to tell you, I was looking for you on social media, and there's no one even similar to your name with such an incredible stash. So, like, it was easy to say, like, hey, here we go. This is it. Follow. Hit that follow, everybody. The reason I DJ'd Ice Ice Baby, not that it's a great song, Matt, so don't think that this is my taste in music, but we're going to be icing some people out with these bye weeks. We got the Lions, Texans, Raiders, and Titans on bye this week. I know myself been leaning really hard on Josh Jacobs. We're going to fill some voids. So who are your suggestions out there for leagues where maybe you can pick somebody up on the waiver wire or a Band-Aid to hold you over as somebody that may have been sitting on your bench?
I mean, you just start with Devin Singletary right off the get-go this week, because it seems to be whenever the Buffalo Bills are in a close game, Devin Singletary is going to get those snaps. However, when they start to blow out teams, they completely forget about him. He goes on the bench, I think he gets about 46% of the snaps compared to 76 in a close game, which it seems kind of backwards considering that you think you'd want to run the clock out here. But hey, that's not the Buffalo Bills way this season. So I'm expecting the Chiefs to kind of keep this game a little bit closer here. And we've looked at some of these contests the Bills have been in so far this season. They haven't been in a lot of close games, so Devin Singletary's opportunities have been somewhat restricted there. Now, another guy I'm all in on Breece Hall. I mean, everything that we're seeing from this kid right now is everything that we thought we would have seen from him there, minus the Michael Carter impact. So it seems that Breece Hall is taking over Manhattan, taking over that backfield for the Jets, and I am all in on this one. We're seeing the targets, we're seeing the runs, everything you could possibly want in a running back. Breece Hall is bringing it to you each and every week. And let's not forget about Miles Sanders. I mean, he's like if you're looking for Josh Jacobs of the East, it is probably going to be Miles Sanders, a running back that we love to hate. Every year with Josh Jacobs, we bury him, say, yeah, he's going to be the running back 23, running back 24. But when the dust settles, he's going to be a top 12 running back year in, year out. And that is because maybe he wins the war of attrition here. Now he's had those back career high rushing games. Well, look who's the number 4 running back in PPR right now, or right up there. It's Miles Sanders, and we're still not talking about him. He is literally on pace for 1,400 rushing yards so far this season. And we're not just talking about a game or two. We've now got a 5-game sample in which Miles Sanders could be that guy that you're getting for pennies on the dime here right now. If you're looking to trade him, pick him up there, and he's going to give you some good value down the stretch.
Matt, you mentioned we're getting everything we want from Breece Hall. And you're right. I just have a sarcastic comment to add to that, with the exception of these Rodney Culver touchdowns by Michael Carter, right? I mean, he runs that long reception down to the 1, then Carter taps it in from 1 yard out. And then later in the game, Breece got him to the 1, and Carter comes in to tap it in from 1 yard out. Thankfully, Hall got in later in the game, but I just wanted to make that, I guess, sarcastic comment. I do like the Chiefs. I like them to win this game outright. Buffalo is -2.5 at Kansas City. Wow. I mean, they're both fantastic teams. They're both playing at a very high level. Hello, player guys in the preseason. This is the memo for that. This is the exhibit A for that. These teams have been cooking since the beginning of the year because they played their ones in the preseason. Both 4-1 at the top of the heap for Super Bowl contenders and MVP with Mahomes and Allen, and it's no coincidence at all. But the lack of running game, we've seen it buzzkill Buffalo in the playoffs before. You mentioned it with Singletary. They have the same dudes plus James Cook, who is a luxury piece. They play him 5 touches a game, if that, comes and goes, that kind of thing. So they're basically the same at that spot. To me, that is going to ultimately doom them because they get out of balance offensively in the playoffs. So this is why not only do I have Kansas City over Buffalo on Sunday, but I've got Kansas City over Buffalo to win into the Super Bowl.
So you're not go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know what Bill's Mafia is feeling you here right now. You keep talking like that, they're going to get the tables, and you're going to be the one going through it here for
Are they going to squirt me with ketchup and mustard? Are they just going to squirt like Dumb and Dumber, just squirting it on each other?
It might very well happen. I mean, Buffalo fans, man, they're different altogether, man. I love those people in Buffalo and everything that they do. I actually put myself through a table once. Didn't quite go as well as planned. I mean, it hurts a lot more than you think. I'll put it.
Do you still have back trauma because of that?
I got trauma all over. I'm getting old, man. I got 10 kids and 5 grandkids already. I mean, Trump is basically my middle name at this point. But yeah, this is going to be a fantastic battle. I like how you point out that neither one of these teams has a run game to lean on. And I think if either one of these teams can establish that run, I think that's going to be the difference, whether it's now or in the playoffs. Because you can almost bank that we're going to see these two teams go at it again here come January, February at some point.
So, Matt, I want to ask you, the game that I will be watching as a Dallas Cowboys fan, not that I won't be watching all of them, but the one that I will be watching with bated breath is, of course, my Dallas Cowboys going to Philadelphia to take on the undefeated Eagles. How do you think Miles Sanders is going to fare in this matchup? And what's your expectation for this game? I like to temper my expectations as I was born and raised a Dallas Cowboys fan. We haven't been America's team since the 90s. And it's like being a Mets fan. It's the same kind of thing. Who do you think is going to take the win this Sunday in Philadelphia?
Now, this game's fun. This game is what we came down to. I mean, if it had Dak in it, it would be a little bit better. But we're talking about the 5-0 Cooper Rush as a starter. Yes. And he's got that whole, that Detmer-type mystique to him, right? Game manager, call him what you will, but he's not turning the ball over. And the Dallas Cowboys are doing a good defense. Now, when you talk about Miles Sanders in particular, Dallas has given up some yards on the ground. I think they've given up about the 18th most rushing yards, but they are the 5th stingiest team when it comes to fantasy points allowed to the running back position, that bend not break type defense. But the game inside the game is going to be that Dallas Cowboys pass rush. You got Micah Parsons, he's got 6 sacks. Doris Armstrong's got 4. DeMarcus Lawrence has 3. I mean, they've got, I think, 20 sacks altogether, which is the second most behind just the San Francisco 49ers, 21. And then you've got a guy that you don't really want to rush, but you almost have to rush, but you're afraid to rush him. And that's Jalen Hurts, because he can do so many things from that pocket. If you let him out of that pocket, he's going to beat you. If you let him stay in that pocket, he's going to beat you. He's become more of a complete passer so far this season. The main matchup I want to watch is Micah Parsons versus Lane Johnson. If you look at what Lane Johnson has done, he has not allowed a sack since week 10 of the 2020 season. That's over 1,100 snaps. He has not allowed a quarterback hit since week 7 of the 2021 season. That's 918 snaps. That's pretty good. But where Hurts has struggled so far this season is when he's been blitzed. So if you look at per PFF's kind of numbers here, when he doesn't get blitzed there, he has an offensive grade there of a second, 9.9 yards per attempt, 73% completion percentage, which is third. But when he gets blitzed, and you know Dallas is going to blitz you because that's what they like to do, that PFF grade, it drops down to 57.3, which is the 27th in the league. That yards per attempt, it drops down to 5.8 yards per attempt, which is 31st. And that completion percentage, it drops down to 58%, all the way down from 73. So basically from 3rd to 25th. So that is the game within the game. If the Eagles line, and they got a good offensive line, if they can handle the blitzing Cowboys, then Jalen Hurts is going to be okay. But we haven't seen anyone handle that blitzing Cowboys team so far this season. This is why they are one of the best defenses here in the league. And it's going to be a true test of how they go. Now, can the Cowboys outscore the Eagles? That's going to be where it comes down to. Can the Cowboys put the points up on this Eagles defense that's just as good as the Cowboys defense as far as stopping the run and the pass? I mean, they got 17 sacks of their own. They've got 6 interceptions there. Big play, Darius Slay on CeeDee Lamb. That could almost erase that factor altogether. And we know that Cooper Rush loves himself some CeeDee Lamb. Lamb is in the top 7 in targets with 50. And I think he has about 44% of the Cowboys' air yards. So if we know that Rush wants to go to CeeDee Lamb, you darn well know that Darius Slay knows the same thing.
Matt Donnelly, you're a baller, man. This information is absolutely amazing. You the man. We appreciate you joining us. I want to ask you about Ravens and Giants because this is like a team on the come up, a team that's been established, albeit a weird year last year with Harbaugh giving away the 2 losses and then not making the playoffs. But the Ravens still do look like one of those contending type of teams. They're at New York. New York's rolling at 4-1. And maybe we thought the correction was going to happen last week. At least I was kind of looking at it potentially that way against Green Bay. It didn't work out that way. They came with a big punch in the second half and won that game. And were very, very clutch to do it. Like, are you believing in the New York Giants? And are you believing in them enough to take the +6? Because I got to be honest, like the way they've been going and the Ravens, I don't know. They don't look like a team that's going to go in there and smack the Giants around. I like the Giants to live inside that number. Matt, where are you?
Well, I'm torn on this one because I don't think the Giants are as good of a team as that record indicates. I don't think they are a 4-1 team. In fact, I don't even that you take away that field goal there against Tennessee, that missed field goal. Now we're down to 3-2, which is a little bit more manageable. I still don't think they're a 3-2 team. I mean, Saquon Barkley has been out of this world so far this season. 533 rushing yards, sits behind just Nick Chubb there. And he's been doing it on the big plays, which is fantastic. That's what we wanted to see from Saquon Barkley. He's got 2 runs that he's broken over 40, and there's only been a handful of running backs this season that have runs over 40. That's DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, and, of course, Taysom Hill, depending on what you want to consider him as. I mean, those are the only players with runs over 40 yards so far this season. Now, Baltimore, we know they have been susceptible to the big play as far as anything is concerned, but we also know that the weakness of this Ravens team thus far this season has been in the passing game and defending the pass. Now, it has been getting better. Marlon Humphrey is doing a much better job. Marcus Peters is doing a much better job. Who are the Giants going to throw to? I mean, you're looking at a class here. You got Daniel Bellinger there, Richie James, Marcus Johnson. I mean, this is where we're at for the New York Giants. David Sills. Good news is Wan'Dale Robinson looks like he's back at practice this week, so he could make a return to this Giants lineup. And we know how much they like to use play action. Play action is great now, but you still have to throw the ball every once in a while. And against this Ravens team, I think they're going to be sitting on the run. And as good as Saquon Barkley has been, I don't know if he's going to be a difference maker alone against a team like Baltimore, especially with Lamar Jackson on the other side of the ball. Because I love myself some Lamar Jackson. He's another one of those quarterbacks who just does not get the love as a quarterback that he deserves.
Yeah, and being here in New York, I'll tell you both, Daniel Jones is getting so much love, it's almost shocking to me. And it's like, wait, really, it's the defense that I've seen for the Giants that has really exceeded my expectations and made it possible for them to have these wins. Those 2 plays back-to-back against Aaron Rodgers was just great defense, changing the narrative of that entire game. So I'm with you, and I think we're going to see these challenges. Look, it's very exciting for both of these teams, the Jets, the Giants, to have better records than everyone expected. But now the balloon is going to pop, and now we're going to see this really kind of balance back out. And I think this could be a week where Daniel Jones is tested to really, like you said, that big playability, and does he have it in him?
Yeah, I mean, if his ankle is getting any better, if he can start running the ball a little bit more, because we know Daniel Jones. I mean, I think it was a couple years ago there, he had the fastest run on the next gen stats. I mean, he can move as long as he doesn't get tripped up by the 5-yard line. I mean, he can get down the field every once in a while. So if he gets going, that RPO type action kind of goes. And we know how the Giants ended up beating the Packers last week is because of the play action. Green Bay has struggled against the play action. We also know, if you're paying attention, you want the Jets here. The Jets like to run a little bit of play action with Zach Wilson. So that's going to be kind of the battle inside the battle for the Jets and Packers. But that's how the Giants got the job done. Defense, play action, Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's what the formula was last week.
Yes, it sure was.
And the Jets take it on Green Bay. We know Green Bay is, Aaron Rodgers just doing what he can with what he has. I don't think the entire story wraps around not having Devontae, but it does add up to being a huge missing piece that he really trusted, could always rely on, could go for that Hail Mary, could do things that now he thinks he can do. Probably should have just ran the ball last weekend. Would have made all the differences. His running backs have been really coming through. But what would it look like if the Jets travel to Lambeau and take on Green Bay? This is a question for both of you. And the Jets take the win. I mean, what would this look like? Sports broadcasters worldwide writing off Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. The world would be upside down if the Jets win.
And
but
Carl
it's not
would
impossible.
Carl would probably remember the hand in the zombie movie coming up out of the dirt at the graveyard, or that kind of thing. Carl would undie. Remember Larry and Curb Your Enthusiasm? The Jets killed Carl, so that would like unkill Carl. He'd come back to life. I think he'd at least be a half person. He'd be a zombie, right?
I mean, I'm all with you. I think it's plausible. We're watching that money line change right now before our very eyes.
Here we go.
A lot of the betting right now, it's starting to go towards the New York Jets. And I kind of hinted at why. It's because the kryptonite for the Packers defense this year has been the play action. And the New York Jets, they love to run play action. They run like 52% of the time. You got a guy like Breece Hall there, you have to respect him. And then, unlike the Giants, Zach Wilson has receivers that can catch the ball. Elijah Moore, which we have not seen the best of him yet. Garrett Wilson, we know what he can do. Corey Davis, for crying out, would be the Giants' number 1 wide receiver. And these are what the Packers have to defend. I mean, I don't like this matchup for the Packers. I can very well see this Jets team outright winning this week. It wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me right now in the NFL season. Heck, the Raiders are 1-4, and they've lost all 4 games by a combined 14 points this season. That's where we're at in the season. Nothing makes sense anymore. We're in week number 6.
It's interesting you say that. It's just the math. When the Celtics swept the Nets last year in the first round of the playoffs, they won 4 games by a total of 14 points. It was a 4-game sweep by 14 points. It's kind of weird how that math synced up right there. I want to ask you about Thursday Night Football, Matt. Not a great game, and it will be made worse by the incredibly terrible and stodgy call of Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. I don't know if you've been listening to Amazon Prime here, Matt, but Kirk Herbstreit's always asking questions, right? And so, right? He always puts right at the end of it with a question mark. We're not tuning into an expert analysis to have them like make a statement with a flimsy-ass, soft-ass Tony Romo-esque question mark at the end of it. Yes, that was for you, Lisa. And all of that to say, the game is going to be terrible. The call on the game is going to be terrible. I want to know if other people are listening to Al and Kirk and thinking, oh, yeah, this is a great duo. I can't wait for the next week of these guys. It's freaking awful, man. Like, they got to pull the plug on this next year.
Can I say this before you give us your take, Matt? The worst part is on Amazon Prime, none of us have really figured out yet because you can't DVR it and then just go later and fast forward through the commercials. And I'm too afraid to not watch it and then go back and see, because I have a feeling that Amazon Prime does not let you fast forward. You know how some of the apps don't let you do this?
It's really weird. Fast forwarding is so weird on this. It gets stuck. And my wife's like, no, you do this. And I do it. It's like, I feel like a 5-year-old with this damn equipment. It's like, what are we doing here? Can I just watch TV?
Yes. And by the way, every Thursday I still forget it's on Prime, and then I have to go and be like, oh yeah, that's right, it's on Prime. So Matt, what are you seeing in this game for tomorrow night, which is going to be really like watching paint dry with the absolute worst broadcasting in the NFL?
It is, but in social media, when you're looking for the most popular dog pictures, it's really like the Chinese crested dog, right? Everyone loves the ugly dog. The uglier, the better. And that is what this Thursday Night Football matchup literally is. I mean, at least it's not the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson going out there. But I mean, we got Chicago, we got Washington, and we don't even have good Washington right now. We got like Logan Thomas, who's probably going to miss this game. We got Jahan Dotson, who's already going to miss this game with that hamstring. I mean, we're missing some good pieces of this Washington team. And I'll tell you right now, Ron Rivera, your quarterback is not your problem.
Oh,
I mean,
but he said it. He said it. That was not the right thing to say.
You have a defensive type coach calling out the quarterback who at the time is the 4th leading passer in the National Football League, coming off a game in which he just threw for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and yes, you got the full Carson Wentz experience with the game-ending interception. I mean, that's what you get with Carson Wentz. You know about this. You handpicked him from the get-go. But look at your defense. Look at your defense, man. This has been brutal. You got your best running back returning kicks, for crying out loud. Your other running back's just coming back. I mean, the running back coming off the IR literally out-touched the running back that has been productive the last 2 seasons, 9 carries to 3. That is coaching. That has 0 to do with the quarterback situation there. That being said, I'm interested to see how this plays out here right now, because you've already called out your quarterback. The players already know. I mean, I'm sure the players are already starting to tune out Ron Rivera at this point. As soon as you say something like that, we know Carson Wentz is probably not the most well-liked player. I mean, he's been passed around from Philly to Indianapolis. There's obviously something in the locker room where he's not a leader. I mean, we've heard that a few times over the last few seasons, where Justin Fields is a leader, in my opinion. I watched that press conference and how he took that on the chin. And it felt like when he was talking about Smith Marset, he was kind of talking to himself, like, hey, he's a young guy. He made a mistake. He's got to be better. I felt like he was not only talking about Amir, but he's kind of talking about himself being better. And we're starting to see Matt Eberflus there start to call up a little bit more design runs, which means the Chicago offense is going to start to get going again, doing what they did. Hopefully get back to what we thought they were going to be this season, right? We were kind of high on them. We're like, okay, you know what? This offense can get clicking here a little bit towards the end of last season. That's why we were high on Cole Kmet. That's why we were all high on Darnell Mooney, especially me. I love myself, Darnell Mooney, by the way. He's going to outscore every wide receiver this week when it comes to Thursday Night Football. I just have that gut feeling on that. But you look at this, and I'm kind of like, I'm interested to see how bad this game could possibly be. It cannot be any worse
than last week.
Rick, we talked about the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts last week, and I basically said it almost came true. If Denver would have scored on that touchdown, that would have been bang on what I said. It's 1 touchdown, the rest would have been field goals. It almost happened. Everything was field goals. I think we're going to get a couple scores in this game. I think these offenses are a little bit better. I think the defenses are a lot worse than what we saw last week too. So, I mean, sometimes who would have thought that Detroit versus Seattle would have been the best game so far this season? This kind of has one of those feels that all of a sudden we're making fun of it right now, but this could be like the black swan, the ugly duckling all of a sudden turns beautiful for fantasy football.
What an analogy there. What an analogy, Matt. I absolutely love it, but it is painful to know that it's a standalone game and that we cannot be doing something that Rick and I were talking about earlier, which is the previous button on your remote that allows you to bounce back and forth between multiple games.
Well, we're going to be stuck watching it. It's going to be horribly beautiful, and I'm all in on it.
So let me make a quick point here about Ron Rivera, right? Did you guys notice at the end of the first half against Tennessee has the ball, they're driving, they set up a 1st and goal. There's about 1:20 left in the first half, okay? That's when you take timeouts if you're Ron Rivera. They have 1st and goal. They can't go farther down the field and burn up more clock. So 1st down play runs, bang a timeout. He doesn't. He lets it run, and then amazingly, Vrabel called a timeout. And so now he's helped you out. And then they run 2nd down. Again, Rivera does not call a timeout, lets the clock run all the way down. They get the touchdown by Henry with like 17 seconds left. Wentz gets the rock back with like 10 seconds left. They take a knee and go to the locker room. That's atrocious game management, man. You'll bang, bang, bang. You'll have like 45, 50 seconds left, whether they score a touchdown or a field goal or whatever. And then you can maybe go get a field goal as opposed to, let's just let them run the first half out. Ron Rivera's losing his way, man. And so I'm curious who gets whacked first. Do they fire Ron Rivera, or does Ron Rivera, bench Carson Wentz and go to the bullpen? Like, I'm curious to see which of those happens first.
Yeah, I think
I'm not too sure, but
we'll be
Sorry.
seeing that kind of movement now for people like myself. I'm sure there's quite a few fantasy managers out there who had high expectations for Terry McLaurin. And that's really a reflection on Carson Wentz, no doubt. Carson Wentz comes on strong. He's like that hot girl that everybody goes out with a couple of times and then something happens and then they're not together anymore. And then this has been him in the NFL and it's affecting all of our other players. But I've got one more game for you, Matt, that I want to see what you and Rick have to say about. The Patriots finally kicking things up a bit with their defense again, which is what they do week 4, week 5. They really start to become themselves again, facing the Browns, who I think have been surprising all of us, both of them facing each other with a 2-3 record. Amari Cooper playing some lights out football, really showing what I thought he would have been in Dallas. And Jacoby Brissett, handling it, holding the fort in Cleveland. Who takes this one and how is this game going to be won?
Can I say the Browns are going to miss a game-winning field goal? Can I go with that option here? That seems to be the best way to go about it, right?
That would be right. Yes, and so painful. So painful.
We just praised the Detroit Lions for 4 weeks until Bailey Zappi came in and did what he done to him, right? He got out there. But can I just stop for a second? I mean, I've been alone on the mountain when it comes to Jacoby Myers for 2 years now. It has been a lonely place. I've been touting him and I've been cheering him. I've gone through thick and thin. The whole Devontae Parker showing up. I got attacked about this. I'm like, no, it's Jacoby. Are you guys worried about Devontae Parker? Really? No, Myers is the wide receiver. I don't care if he can't run the ball down. I mean, we know he's not fast. That's never been his thing. Back to NC State, he's never been a burner. But he obviously has the trust of Mac Jones. He's got the trust of Bailey Zappi already. And I mean, I really like the Patriots in this game because I think that Bill Belichick will do enough on defense to kind of restrict Nick Chubb there and Amari Cooper and do what he does best. And I just don't think that the Browns are going to have an answer for Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, this kid is coming on strong. No Damian Harris. I would not be surprised if Stevenson ends up with 200-plus all-purpose yards in this contest. I mean, he had 161 last week, and Harris kind of factored into that a little bit. I mean, when Stevenson gets an opportunity, he can get the job done. Now, that said, I like Nick Chubb on the other side. I mean, I'll never bet against Nick Chubb. He's going to do what he does best, probably another 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nice little game that he's been putting up all season, but I don't trust Brissett and Amari Cooper. I mean, it seems to be an up-and-down roller coaster between the two. 1 week they are on, and the next week they're off. And it's usually how I rank against them. When I rank Brissett and Cooper down low, that's usually when they go off. And when I kind of get up and start trusting them again, this is why I have trust issues, right? Fantasy football has created trust issues in me because when I start to believe in a player, they absolutely let me down. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to put you down on my rankings. And all of a sudden they do something good. I can't figure it out sometimes. I mean, I think that's the beauty of it all, isn't it?
Yeah, what I'm doing right now is I'm looking up Stevenson's price on DFS for this weekend because I really want to see, okay, so would you be willing to put your 6,000 fake dollars in your lineup in on DFS? And would it be worth it? Yes. If you're saying you think you could go for up to 200 yards, I think Stevenson becomes the play of the day for Sunday in DFS.
I would agree with that 100%. I mean, you look at some of these, I got him inside my top 8 running backs this week. And if you look at some of these other running backs that I would have in that area when I'm looking at half-point PPR, and it's Austin Eckler. He's going for astronomical prices right now because of what he's been doing. Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Delvin Cook. And then I've got Ramondre Stevenson just ahead of Jonathan Taylor. So I've got Stevenson as my RB5 this week. And if you look around Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, Kamara, Fournette, these guys are all going for considerably more than what Stevenson's going for. And I like if you get that cheap running back that's going to go off. I mean, that's a good way to build your lineup each and every week.
Well, Matt, we thank you so much for joining us right here. Everyone, give him a follow. It's Matt Donnelly, FF. It was a great chat. We'll be thinking about you while we're bored watching that game tomorrow night. Right, Rick?
You're the man, Matt, for sure. Always great stuff and great times with you, brother.
All right.
Have a great night. And everybody, stay tuned because the 8 o'clock hour is when we're going to be giving away that autographed Giannis jersey right here at Bettor Sports Network.
Lisa Ann and Rick Kamala are live on Bettor Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
I got to tell this story, okay? So we're out in Canton, Ohio, and we decide to go eat late at night, like after midnight. We decide to go to the Waffle House. Some Anthony's never been there, even though he lives near it. There's no Waffle House close by. So if you go to the Waffle House, what are you going to eat more than likely? Pancakes, waffles, eggs, and all that, right? So, of course, our guy Rich, he gets breakfast. I get breakfast. Fensty doesn't. He's never been to a Waffle House. How do you not have waffles? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, there's a time for waffles.
Breakfast at midnight. Come on, man.
That's the thing. I didn't want breakfast, man. I got like, what was it, like a cheesesteak sandwich or something like that?
That's like someone who has never been to IHOP going there and ordering a burger. Who does that?
That I wouldn't do. That I would not.
That's
well, first
the
of all,
equivalent of what you did. Well, I don't even know what you had.
I got this steak sandwich, which was
steak
excellent,
sandwich at the Waffle House. Never been there, and that's what you get. You're an odd guy, man. You're an
I'm not an odd guy.
Yes, you are. Can we get a vote? Can we get a vote in the chat, please? I mean, if you've never been to Waffle House and you get a steak wrap, something's wrong with you, right? Don't you have to get waffles and eggs and bacon and all that? It's the Waffle House.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It was my first time, okay? Ordering the hash browns was already complicated enough. Smothered and covered, and it's almost like it's crazy how much combinations you can have. And I know that everybody's killing me for it right now. And no, to our producers, I don't get pasta at a steakhouse or anything like that.
No, Alfredo, that's what he gets at the steakhouse.
Do you follow me on Instagram? I'm always on that grill. You know how much I love steak. Why would I go to a steakhouse and get pasta?
Because you go to Waffle House to get steak wraps. That's why.
I didn't know it was all waffles, bro. I thought it had like a little bit of everything. That's why. You know, I didn't realize they were famous for waffles. Hey, look. You know,
the name of the place is the Waffle House. What else would they be famous for?
You know what? That's fine. I guess it's a hot take getting a steak sandwich. As long as it was good, I housed that thing and said,
never there. And that's the first time. You're not going to try a waffle? Do you admit it was a mistake?
I don't really like waffles.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network.
Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
That's right. We are back right here at Bettor Sports Network. Myself, Lisa Ann, and Rick Kamla. Make sure you're following all things on social media, Bettor Network. We've got a little Gangster's Paradise as a lead-in as I'm the DJ up in here, Rick. And the reason being is because there will be a Gangster in Paradise when we have a winner for the Giannis jersey. Now we're going to go for the fun button, which I found a lot of fun. I was chatting on Sunday. You know, I got into it. I was watching the games and I'm like, you know, I'm going to creep in on these Sunday afternoon shows right here, the Bettor Sports Network, and chat, you know, talk about the games live, interrupt the shows. And the number is going to be 172. So the 172nd, I picked 72 because I was born in 72.
I understand. So some lucky listener is going to win a signed Giannis jersey. This is extremely big time right here. We hook you up here at Bettor Sports Network. I mean, look at who we're working with. Look at who we're hanging out with tonight. And now we're giving away a Giannis signed jersey. This is not some ham and egger. This is Giannis. Can you spell his last name?
Spell it. Can I look at it? I have it right here. ANTETOKOUNMPO. I did cheat though.
I think he has a hard time spelling his last name. Wembanyama is a lot easier than Antetokounmpo. I know that. We don't have a signed Victor Wembanyama jersey in the back, do we? They're just kind of waiting, chilling on ice right now. Do we have a signed Victor?
Yes. So contest named Giannis signed jersey giveaway from Bettor Sports Live with Rick Kamla and Lisa Ann has started. I hit this masterful OK button right here, and it is up to all of you to hit the fun button, which is a ton of fun here. And it is also time for us to get into a little NBA action. Rick, you are so dialed in, which I absolutely love. You get me a lot more hype for the NBA. I don't know if you know this, but there was a practice in the park the other day for the Nets. Everybody's out there with their phones. Everybody's capturing good and bad shots. Of course, they're only displaying the bad shots on social media. They go somewhat viral. You're really putting the players out there when you do this, but it was a lot of fun. The city is gathered around the Nets way more than, of course, the Knicks.
They are now. They want to be gathered around the Knicks, right? But the Knicks make it difficult. They hem and they haw. They should have traded for Donovan Mitchell. They did not. They let Cleveland, go ahead and pass them and go where they should be going. But the Nets are my number 2 team in the East coming in, Lisa Ann. I've got them just behind Milwaukee. I've got Milwaukee winning out of the East and going to the NBA Finals and losing to the Golden State Warriors. Can I ask you a question? Lisa Ann? Because I know you to be a very, very credible source about a lot of stuff. But
let me interject. We have some banter going on with some confusion about the contest, and I want to be sure everybody feels solid about it. The number was 172. I was born in 1972, so I picked 72. We wanted to go over 100, so we made it 172. There is a winner, which I will get to after Rick asked me this question, but I wanted everybody to know it's not 1,172 taps. It was just 172 on the fun button. So your question.
Help me and bettors out here. The Golden State Warriors are my pick to win it all. Okay. And obviously this is based on paper. This is based on the championship DNA, the dynasty, the whole thing. Should we, as bettors, be looking at Golden State differently and more jaundicely because of the Draymond Green punch on Jordan Poole? Okay. Help us out here with perhaps intel, perhaps just your analysis on the interpersonal ripple effects that could have on this team, because that's my question here. I want to hang in there with Golden State. I don't want to pull a mulligan on my championship prediction for this team before the season even begins, but this is a potentially really divisive buzzkill, and I don't like the fact that the Golden State Warriors did not suspend Draymond Green. Kerr said he's going to play in Friday's preseason game, which means he will be at ring night. He'll be playing against the Lakers on opening night. And I think when you light up a guy like that and breach trust to that huge degree, there's got to be a consequence for that action. And I think Draymond should be suspended for ring night. But vibe us out here, okay? Are the Warriors still safe to bet on to win it all?
It does bother me. It's definitely a concern. If you remember hearing Durant do multiple interviews after his time there, after that incident with Draymond, he was never the same. As a matter of fact, he checked out immediately and was done. He just waited for it to be over. It's, look, we all love Draymond, what he brings, the energy that he brings, but there's like this level of passion that goes too far. And in sports, we'll call it passion. But you got to have respect for your teammates. And when you start causing this kind of drama and you become the conversation before the season, it is right to want to pull back a little bit, because is the focus right now on the team and getting ready for ring night? Or is the focus right now all this chatter, right? All this noise. And also, are they going to mend this? How can Jordan Poole not hold a grudge? Like, how can this not eventually be on the shoulders of every other teammate that has watched this happen season after season with Draymond, whether it's one of his teammates that he's causing a rift with, or whether it's him getting suspended in a very important game? He definitely needs to seek counsel to learn how to bet. Look, there's a show that I love, Ghost, you're in the room. I know you love the show too. It's called Power. Very violent show put together by 50 Cent. It's a great series. A lot of gangsters, but one of the gangsters just went through anger management, and he really learned how to calm his anger. It doesn't mean he isn't going to go out there and still do things, but there needs to be some anger management classes here. This is not your first offense. I feel very different about the incident with Devontae Adams after the game. We've never seen Devontae act that way, right? That was very out of character. So we could take a survey of their overall performance, what they've done, any rips that they've called. We could say, okay, this is a one-hit situation. This is a one-time thing. This was poor judgment. Everybody has those moments. But this with Draymond, we really don't know. And it does concern me. And eventually, his teammates have to get sick of it, right? Eventually, they have to feel like, yo, bro, you're kind of the rock in our pocket in this situation. Like, you need to learn how to chill. You're getting older. He has multiple kids. He has like 5 kids now. Like, he's got to set a better example for his home, for the kids out there that watch him. But that to me was, you got to suspend him to set a precedent. You did nothing to him after what he did to Durant, which then derailed the fact of Durant even wanting to be committed at all. We haven't gotten word from Poole. He can say he forgives him. He can say he wants to move on. This kid wants to play on a winning team. That's what he wants to do. But does he want to have this burden? Is it going to happen again? Have they completely mended this? You sucker punch somebody on your team in any other workspace, you'd have to leave. HR would be coming for you. You'd be going through anger management. This would not be a one and done situation. So it does concern me in a big way when it comes to team chemistry this early. Is his fuse getting shorter? Is my concern. Are we going to see him getting suspended more often this season than we've seen Draymond get suspended in the past? Because if you're already popping off like this in preseason and practice, I'm real concerned for when you're a bit more tired 3 months down the road.
I mean, all outstanding points. I'm not going to budge on my Golden State prediction. You know, I'm going to hang in there with it. I know that there's a boys will be boys element to this, but this was shocking and this was different than a regular scuffle. I was talking with Reggie Theus, longtime NBA player today. He said he had never, ever in all of his years in basketball, going to coaching and all these other spots, overseas, the whole thing. He's never had a teammate because Jordan Poole was, you know, he got into his face. Jordan Poole pushed him off of him, and it should have just been woofing at that point. That's when Draymond lunged in with the punch. Nobody in that practice facility thought Draymond was going to punch him in that moment because it hadn't escalated that high. They weren't even like really pushing and shoving in a whole ruckus. It was just a quick kind of thing, and Draymond just snapped. So that is an ultimate breach of trust. Now, if you're anybody else on the team, what if you get into some woofing with Draymond and he doesn't like what you're saying and you let your guard down? Is he going to blast you in the face as well? Who the hell knows? But in terms of Jordan Poole, like, because you mentioned it, like, make this kid feel the love. If I'm Jordan Poole, I'm already like, I guess maybe I'll forgive you, but I certainly will not forget. And I'm not going to be your boy, and we're not going to go out dining on the road, and we're just going to be teammates now in a professional thing. You're over there, I'm over here, and I don't really want much to do with you. I'll pass the rock to you. We'll play basketball together, but that's going to be it. And you don't suspend Draymond Green. If I'm Jordan Poole, you know, I still want the big bag from Golden State, 4 years and $100 million, whatever he's going to get here. I'll take it. But I'm thinking, damn, they let this guy get away with everything. And I bet you the Clays and the Stephs and all these guys are like, damn, they let this guy get away with everything. They never punish him for anything. And obviously, it's a great culture, and they run a great shop out there. They've got 4 championships in the last like 8 or 9 years. But in this way, I think that they are making a mistake and not sending a louder message to Draymond.
And I do too. And the loudest message would be, hey, guess what? You're suspended for ring night. You know, that's a big deal. It's a big night.
It's a huge deal, ring night.
But we earn opportunities in life by acting appropriately. And I love Draymond. I've known Draymond for years. But at the same time, this is not a good side of Draymond that anybody can love. Basketball is a very tight-knit sport. It's not like in football where you got different rooms for different positions where players only interact when they're traveling or in the main gym, right? You got the kickers all in one room. You got the wide receivers in another. This is so different. It's such a tight family unity, and it's just not a great example to be setting for young players. And Jordan Poole's going to hear a lot of this. And also, it's just the negative banter. Who wants it on their team? Who wants to deal with this before the season? Who wants to have every interview be about this? There's nothing I despise more in sports is when you change the narrative from how well the team is playing, how well they're developing young players, what their numbers are going to look like on the season, to something that happened that should have been like on the Desperate Housewives or like one of the Housewives shows, this is like some Housewives of Orange County when they throw wine on each other. Like
Completely.
This is where you watch this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to watch this stuff in your sports. So with that said, we're getting ready to hit a break. We've got a guest coming on after the break, but we do have a winner. Now we had the winner. It was 172 taps on the fun button. This
Nice.
winner is going to reach out to the producer. Is that correct? We're going to get that to the producer so we can get all of your information. The winner is for the Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey that is autographed. The one who moves. That is all spelled out. The one who moves. I'm assuming it might be a cow with the moves. I'm not sure, but the one who moves is the winner. This is not the first giveaway this network, Better Sports Network, not just sports, also sports collectibles, will be giving away items regularly on this show and on many other shows. That's why you need to follow on social media, all things Better Network, to make sure you never miss a show that is doing an awesome giveaway. Having fun with that fun button. When we get back, we're going to have fun with our guest. That's Luke Sawhook joining us, fantasy football analyst, NFL analyst for Mojo Markets, and a ranker for fantasy pros. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
Bettor. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt.
Body didn't change.
We'll never know that for
Not
sure
hurt.
either.
Nah, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances
That's true. I
to
just
get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The one year, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame though that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
Yeah, he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that. All those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age. And we did not see that with Griffey. So look at 2001, where he's 31, he played on, look at the home runs decline, 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
This is Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Better Sports Network.
We're back right here. We just picked one lucky winner. Congratulations, the one who moves. And we've got a guest in here with us right now who you can follow at Luke Sawhook, a fantasy football analyst, NFL analyst for Mojo Markets, and a ranker for fantasy pros. Rick Kamla, I know we are excited to have this conversation. Luke, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. Nice intro, and thank you for not butchering my last name. I appreciate it. It's pretty easy, I think, but it happens a lot for some reason.
Tell me how it goes wrong, because, there's a thing with names, right? Tell me how it goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite story was in 8th grade. I was on the cross-country team, and they gave shout-outs for people who had a good match or whatever, after the weekend. And they called me Shoe Hook one time. I have no idea how, but it happened. I don't know. I also heard I get Shaw Hook a lot. Some people think it's European or something. It's not. It's just the two metal things. So
Well, I will tell you in the Northeast, I am Lisa Ran. So I always would say to people, like, where did I run to? Because they put like this R on the end of anything. Rick, this is a random conversation, but let's talk about the games that you're most excited about, where you're going to see the most fantasy implications week 6 in the NFL. That's you, Luke.
All right, I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. So a game that I'm very excited about is actually tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football. I think that it's going to be a fun game. I know. It's gross. I get it. But I have my eye on one player in particular. I think it's going to be a Brian Robinson breakout game. I think we're going to see Brian Robinson fully establish himself in primetime tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of eyes on the game, obviously, even though it's a pretty disgusting matchup. He outcarried Antonio Gibson 9-3 last week in his season debut, and I think that trend is going to continue. Last week is a little inefficient on the ground. I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities to carry the ball against the Chicago Bears, which are known to be like a grit and grind team this season, throwing the ball at the lowest rate of any team in like over 20 years. So I think Brian Robinson's going to get his chance to establish himself this weekend.
I think that's a good take, Luke. I really do. Rick Hamlin, nice to meet you, sir. Welcome to Bettor Sports Live. Bills and Chiefs, man. This week's game of the century. I like Kansas City. Buffalo here is favored by 2.5 at Kansas City. Part of me is like, when I see a line that I don't agree with like this, a lot of times, like, that's the way to go here. But it's hard for, right? It's the contrarian thing. Like, right. I'm like, huh? Whoa, wait. The Bills are favored at Kansas City. I've just found that's kind of an indicator to play the Bills, even though I don't feel great about it. The way Mahomes is playing, Josh Allen has shown signs of little cracks in the armor, right? The end of the Miami game, he threw an interception. I forget the game now, but I was like, what? Dude, what was that? So he's not perfect. He's obviously spectacular, but that's all it's going to take is one little blink in a stare down with Patrick Mahomes. And basically for that reason, I like the Chiefs. So do you think the Bills should be favored by 2.5 at Kansas City? Does that make sense to you, Luke?
I don't know. I honestly, listen, I'm a Steelers fan. And after watching that game this past weekend against Buffalo, dude, Josh Allen looked like Superman. I actually wrote that in an article I wrote for Mojo this morning. He looked like Superman. I mean, he literally was perfect in every single aspect of the sense. He was on pace for the NFL single game passing yardage record and the touchdown record at halftime. He had like 370 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns at half. I don't know. I think the line is pretty big, especially on the road, especially against Patrick Mahomes, as you say. I honestly think this game should be even as far as the spread goes. I don't mind either team, but I personally would take the Bills' money line. But in terms of spread, I probably would take the Chiefs.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Luke. Yes, Josh Allen did look amazing last week, and I'm not going to discount the fact that you are a Steelers fan, but he was also playing against your Steelers, which to me are not looking anything like a semblance of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's that to be said. And I get where you're going with this, Rick, because it is really the experience of Patrick Mahomes and what the Chiefs have done with or without Tyreek Hill that they can really, really take advantage of a weakness when they see it, when they feel it. And though, yes, they're watching tape from last week, they're not looking at anything the Steelers didn't do. They're going to watch the more competitive games that they're going to play against. And I think this is going to be a challenge for Josh Allen. I think there's an intimidation factor there going up against Patrick Mahomes. I think having to go into Kansas City makes a difference as well. But I like your take there. How bad do you feel that your Steelers at home have to face Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week?
Oh, man, it is brutal. I'm not going to lie. I mean, everyone's seen the stat online now at this point about Kenny Pickett being thrown into the flames. It's the most difficult rookie quarterback schedule since 1950 or whatever the stat is. I mean, he's kind of screwed, honestly. But I'm not going to lie. I kind of like what I saw from Pickett against Buffalo despite the scoreboard. It was pretty brutal, obviously, all around. This secondary is completely scorched in terms of injuries. Minka Fitzpatrick's on the injury report. He's going to play. Terrell Edmonds, our strong safety, missed last week. I think we are missing 2 of our corners again this week as well. It's going to be brutal. Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and company are going to carve up the secondary again. And then after that, I'm pretty sure they have Miami and then undefeated Philadelphia. So, I mean, we might be getting the number 1 overall pick. I don't know, but I'm okay with it. You know, I'm a Steelers fan, as I've already made very clear. We haven't picked in the teens or probably even top 10 in like 20 years. So I am very, I'm embracing a top 5 pick with open arms this season. I hope it happens. And I would love to get some offensive line help, like please. or there's a stud edge rusher. I forget his name. The kid out of Alabama this year. He's going to be a top 3 pick. I would love to pair him up with TJ Watt. That'd be fantastic. But I mean, obviously this matchup's going to be horrible, but for fantasy, it's going to be great. As I mentioned, Evans should probably have a great game. Brady's been a little slow to start for fantasy this year. I think he's going to have a huge game. And Najee Harris is probably going to be horrible again.
Yeah, with that run defense by Tampa Bay. Brady obviously has been activated now that he's got Evans and he's got Godwin. He's been well over 300 yards these last 2 games. And so I like your analysis right there. I'm buying what you're selling. I want to go to kind of a downshift game here. Panthers and Rams. Panthers obviously mired in turmoil here. You've got Baker out with the high ankle. You've got Rule out, Wilkes in. So you got a whole mess there. The Rams are a mess as well. The interior of their offensive line is absolutely terrible. It keeps cratering plays. And Matt Stafford's played with a broken back before. I hope he doesn't suffer a backiotomy at some point with all the hits that he's been taking, but it's looking that way. So you have a couple of teams that don't have a lot going for themselves heading into this game out at SoFi. The Rams are a 10-point favorite.
Wow.
Obviously, Walker's going to be out there, but damn, it's hard to play the Rams -10 right now, right? So how do you read this one? This one's a difficult one to handicap.
Honestly, I kind of like the Rams -10. I'm not going to lie. It's a really big spread, but PJ Walker has, while he was spectacular in the, what was it? The
XFL. Tell him.
XFL.
It was awesome.
There's so many leagues. I don't know. Okay.
These are all random spinoffs. Yes.
No, I love all the random spinoffs. I think they're fantastic. I just forget which random spinoff he was the star in. But anyway, he was great there. Hasn't been as good in the NFL yet. I'm honestly just kind of hoping for my fantasy football purposes that he feeds Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore for once, especially DJ Moore. He's been off to a horrible start to the year, but
it can't be worse than
Aaron
Baker
Donald and Jalen Ramsey and Bobby Wagner are going to give PJ Walker nightmares. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything against this defense. And then the Rams offense, while it has struggled, the Panthers defense is pretty good too, but I just don't think that the Panthers are going to put up any more than 14 points in this game, honestly. I don't see it happening.
And Rick, you were saying that he can't be any worse than Baker. Is that correct? That's where we're going right here?
Yeah, you went to DJ Moore, right? And I've got DJ Moore in the Cam Dynasty. I got a win last week against UConn, Al. I'm not bragging, but Lisa Ann and Luke, it's my Dynasty League, Luke. It's 14 teams. This league is very close to my heart. I won it last year. I beat Brendan Haywood in the championship game. Yeah, not bragging, just saying. But this year I started 0-3. 0-3 in my league. Come on, man. I don't want to go out like that. I've had a ton of underperforming guys. But I got a week 4 win. I picked up I think it was UConn L, dropped the Dallas defense. I picked them up. I bought them for $338, right? Of $1,000 fob.
I was like, how big is your budget?
All in.
It's 1,000.
1,000.
So I was like, wait,
why do you have defenses in a dynasty league? That is gross.
Well, it is what it is. We can agree to disagree on that. I should have gone IDP. I didn't, but nevertheless, I picked up Dallas defense. They got the win for me. They had a Herculean effort. I forget who they savaged that week. And then last week against UConn Al, I held them off with Derek Carr on Monday Night Football. So giddy up, baby. We've won a couple in a row in the Cam Dynasty. And I mean, I got more work to do here to get back in it. But okay, so you're kind of on, but I mean, in terms of DJ Moore, right? To me, it can't get worse. I've watched the Panthers have been a lab experiment for me this year. Unfortunately, I've been subjected to the excruciating torture that is Panthers football, but they don't even throw the ball to DJ Moore and they just paid him, right? That does not compute. And is it a McAdoo thing or is it a Mayfield thing? My thing is you got to get Baker out of the pocket. You either have to force him to do it or run plays that force him to do it because he stands in the pocket all cool like he's in a Progressive commercial saying dumbass jokes and throwing, thinking and these guys bat, these mammoth grizzly bear defensive linemen are just batting all these balls down. Right. So it can't get worse for DJ Moore, can it?
No, I don't think so. And you asked the question, is it a McAdoo problem or a Baker problem? It's a Baker problem, in my opinion. He's always been known as a guy who spreads the ball around. There was a reason why he and OBJ didn't get along in Cleveland. It's because he wasn't getting into freaking football. And it was not an OBJ problem. We saw him go to the Rams, and he looked fantastic last year in the Super Bowl run. Yep. And then now, Baker's in Carolina doing the same thing to DJ Moore. He just hates his number 1 wide receiver. He just spreads the ball around a lot, and it's really strange to me. I don't really get it. But I think it's a Baker Mayfield problem, unfortunately. DJ Moore needs to be freed, and hopefully the Panthers suck so bad this year they get a top 5 pick and then draft Baker Mayfield's successor. again because they just drafted Matt Corral this past year, but he's out with the Liz Frank. So, yeah, I mean, Baker just needs to do a better job of getting the football. And that's what I mentioned earlier. Selfishly, I actually just tweeted about this like an hour ago. I hope that PJ Walker, he said in a presser today that he wants to get the ball to his top weapon. So I said, I hope he gives DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey both like a 40% target share and just ignores like everyone else on the team. That would be amazing just to spite Baker Mayfield.
We're here talking to Luke Sawhook. You can follow at Luke Sawhook. So I'm going to throw to you because of something that Rick just said. Rick just said Baker in the pocket with the Progressive commercial, right? This is what you say, Rick. Okay. So
Right.
I'm going to say Russell Wilson eating a horrible Subway sandwich. Okay. Same thing. Let's talk about this game. We haven't touched on this game yet tonight. It is the Monday night barn burner, a standalone. Why we must get the most horrible games for a standalone where you can't be going previous, and watching all the other games that you want to be watching. But here we
Right.
go. We're going to see Russell Wilson, Los Angeles Chargers at SoFi. We know the Chargers are missing some pieces in defense. Justin Herbert still coming on. Mike Williams. What is Russell Wilson going to do this week, if anything? And have we seen the best that we've seen? Was it not a Seattle problem? Is it a Russell problem? I think he looks a lot heavier and a lot less mobile, and I blame it all on the preservatives in those hideous Subway sandwiches.
It's all Subway's fault.
Bam.
It is. It
She's
is.
not
I don't
wrong.
know.
She's not
Russell
wrong.
Wilson is weird. Russell Wilson is a strange dude, and like his vibe is just completely different. It kind of feels like how much we saw Tom Brady's personality shift when he went from New England to Tampa Bay, but
Yes.
like in the worst way possible. Like Russell Wilson always seemed like the sweetest, like down to earth guy in Seattle, and then now over in Denver, all the news about him has been like he brings this like weird entourage everywhere with his wife, and he has like he thinks he's like the big time celebrity now, and he's rude and. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson, but I do know he has that shoulder discomfort, which is not something we should just look away from. He went out there and he had something with his shoulder. I think that could be a reason, but I honestly just think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think it's just, new team. Russell Wilson obviously doesn't look like himself. The coaching might be an issue. I don't really know what the hell is going on with Russell Wilson, but I do know that the Chargers are probably going to stomp him on Monday Night Football. At least I hope so. I love Justin Herbert. I would kiss him on the mouth if I saw him in person.
Whoa, slow down.
I love him so much.
Slow down.
Luke, I love this so much. That's such a great.
But I hope Keenan Allen. Is Keenan Allen going to be back this week? Do we know?
No, he's Keenan Allen, Mr. Soft Tissue Injury. Of course he's not coming back.
He has the hamstring. I don't know if he's been practicing or not, but if he gets back, that'd be great. And also, someone in the chat said, pause. I'm not pausing. I'm going to kiss him on the mouth. Anyway, but the Chargers are going to be the only person. Sorry, not the Chargers. Justin Herbert's going to be the only person that's going to make this game worth watching because Russell Wilson's going to be horrible. They're going to put up like max 21 points. And then the Chargers should hopefully just cook on offense and go put up like 20. That's what I'm hoping for personally.
So let me get in here and make a point about Russell Wilson. Lisa Ann, and I want you to comment on this first, right? Because I want to kind of piggyback on what Luke was saying. This theory literally is not born of any intel. This theory that I have developed is just from watching Russ this year and watching him. We're all in this, right? We don't miss games, right? So we followed literally almost every single throw of Russell Wilson's career, going back to NC State and Wisconsin. Okay, I've been on this guy, and I have developed a great admiration and affinity for Russell Wilson. He plays hurt. He scrambles. He throws the most beautiful over-the-shoulder long ball I have ever seen in my life, better than Marino, better than Elway, better than all these guys. That guy is dead. Wow. That guy that I remember, like, it's a James Harden thing. You remember Houston Harden, MVP, unbelievable player. He was in great shape and had the ability to do all of these marvelous things and take over games and score 60 with a 10-10 triple-double. Russ doing all these amazing things. The moment that you start to go Hollywood and it becomes more about the off the field and the money and the bags and the fame and the progressive ads and all these commercials and, oh, yeah, I got to get in the gym and get shots up. Oh, yeah, I got to get on the field and throw the football to at least high school kids, college kids, whoever I can get around me to throw the football to. I think Russ has gone Hollywood. And to me, Russ did not go to Denver with a chip on his shoulder like Brady went to Tampa and like Stafford went to LA. He went to Denver with a Brinks truck and he had a ski mask on and he swindled $250 million out of the Walton family. Okay. Oh, we got Russ. We'll just be bamboozled into this. Look, I don't agree with them signing that money, right? Thinking that Russ was going to be Russ. Russ has let all of us down. He has let all of us down. And I think he's James Harden. I think that previous version of him is done, underground, in a grave. I think this is the new Russell Wilson, and I don't like what I'm seeing.
All right, I'm going to give you a couple of my takes here. First and foremost, my favorite photo of last weekend's game, which made it all around the internet, was Melvin Gordon staring at Russ on the bench, and people writing like, caption this. And so I'm a thread reader. I love to just lurk, and I love to read threads because the internet never fails you. People are so creative and clever and funny, and the comments that were under this like about the money, about everything. Now, here's what I like to do when I flip it. I look at a player and a team that they were previously on. When you look at what we're now saying about Geno Smith, I'm not saying Geno Smith isn't as good as he's playing, but I'm saying Geno Smith is bringing out the players that we thought Russell Wilson was bringing out the best in. When you look at the stats here, Tyler Lockett with already 406 yards and 2 touchdowns. You got DK Metcalf, 372 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Russell Wilson was trying to make us believe, he was hoodwinking us, that it was Seattle was the problem. And now you see Lockett still doing Lockett things, making those beautiful passes for such a, I got to interview him at Radio Row at Super Bowl 50, and he's not a big guy. It is amazing what he can do. But here you are. You got to look at that as well. And that's what I look at. I look like, here we are. We're putting Geno Smith like on this pedestal, who is not making Russell Wilson money. No. And the Denver Broncos straight up got hoodwinked with Russell Wilson. And now you see a chemistry issue, because that picture with Melvin Gordon speaks volumes, not just because the thread was entertaining, but because that shows you your teammates have completely lost faith in you. It is only week 5, and they are looking at you like, oh no, this is the rest of my season, and it relies on you, and my stats rely on you, which means my money relies on you, which means how I look for the rest of the season relies on you. I hope that he comes forward with a real injury and we can see a shift, but if he's going to drag this out for the season, and then after the season tell us the injury was more serious than it was, you're letting everyone down. And I got to say, Denver fans are amazing. You see them at the games. They're loving it no matter what. But look at what Seattle is doing without him, and then evaluate how you feel about what Denver's opportunity is with him.
Totally agree. I love that take. I feel bad for Broncos fans. That contract is long and it is expensive. I mean, like, we haven't seen a player drop off this hard after a huge contract. My favorite story in the NFL over the last couple of years has been Kenny Golladay just absolutely just giving up on life in New York. He was so good on the Lions. I love Kenny Golladay.
He was so good, Luke. Tell him.
He was making. And then he went to New York. He got the money and he gave up.
Well, twisting catches in traffic. I mean, these oh my God catches, and like, you want to talk about put the money in the bag and have the getaway car warmed up outside? Holy crap!
Oh yeah. He just stopped trying. There's so many videos of him at practice where he doesn't even have a release package anymore running routes. He just runs in a straight line. It's so funny. He doesn't even get on the field anymore.
He's a paycheck player, and he's got the paycheck, so it's guaranteed. So what's he gonna do? He's just hanging out. But it is interesting. Now we've got some comments in here, and I get it. Ghost, you're right. Gordon, Mr. Fumble. It's a bummer for me because I gave up on him 2 weeks too early before the injury. Before he's going to be the number 1 back. But for me, it was like, I can't take this fumbleitis. It's bothering me so much. I'm dropping you right now. Sometimes I get like that. I get emotional with my moves, which I probably shouldn't have done. But at the same time, I don't love that chemistry of that team right now. So you know what? Am I really going to stick around and hope that it's going to get better and he's going to become something I'm out. I'm after these bye weeks, I am ridding my teams of players that are on teams that I truly believe are going nowhere. And it's not even waiting for that garbage time. It's not being able to enjoy watching the games and hope for the best for my players. It's putting them in your lineup and thinking this could be a total dud. I'd rather take a swing and a miss with another player who has maybe a little bit less opportunity, like an Isaiah Pacheco, and just hope for the best that he gets a little bit of run time because the score gets up there and they're resting their star running back. Another game here that I think is really interesting, and I think the reason it's interesting is because of what Green Bay didn't do last week, what Aaron Rodgers didn't do in London by trying to make that Hail Mary. Devontae Adams is not there. You should have relied on the running backs, but the Giants defense was there, and they were incredibly prepared. And Rodgers doesn't normally lose 2 weeks in a row. He's lost 2 week 1 games, 2 seasons in a row, and then he usually comes out like a monster, right? And I love Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Cowboys fan, but I love Aaron Rodgers, and I've watched Green Bay because I love him as a player. But what would it look like if the Jets take the win this week in Lambeau? And I asked our last guest this. We had Matt Donnelly on, and I'm just curious, Luke, to see what you have to say about the same take.
Yeah, I mean, sirens will be going off. Things will burn in Green Bay if they don't win this game. I mean, come on. I mean, I get it. It's in London. The Giants actually have not been that bad this year. I think I kind of attribute it to, well, I mean, they had a really weak schedule. We'll say that. But Dable's done a good job with this team. Saquon Barkley looks phenomenal. I've been saying all offseason on Twitter that the Saquon Barkley renaissance was coming, and it's here. We are in the Saquon Barkley renaissance currently. But if they lose to the Jets, you cannot lose to the Giants and the Jets back-to-back weeks. That is embarrassing. I don't care who you are, but the Jets actually, honestly, are not that bad. I will say I don't think the Jets are that bad. I love their young core of talent. They absolutely annihilated the NFL draft this year. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are 2 absolute studs. I think those guys can be franchise, cornerstones of that offense for a very long time in New York. But yes, in general, I think that this game is going to be a must-win for the Green Bay Packers. Their defense is phenomenal. I hope that they can lock down Zach Wilson, the secondary, Jair Alexander and company can hopefully get some turnovers. But if they don't win this game, the season might be over for Green Bay, honestly. I don't want to say that dramatically because the NFC is pretty weak. I'm sure they can squeak in a wild card, or the division's pretty soft too. But, man, I mean, you have to win this game to show us something, right?
You do. The problem is, the lack of weaponry for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, his new stat line, he's Mr. 220 and 2. Like, That's his stat line right now. I mean, it used to be he's Mr. 303, right? He's 220 and 2 right now. By the way, he's been off, okay? And again, player ones in the preseason. Please, for the love of God, going forward, player ones in the preseason. Aaron Rodgers has been off, right? He's been missing throws all year long. He's also been doing some of the dazzling Aaron Rodgers stuff, but it hasn't been as consistent as we're used to. But Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard, who caught a touchdown early, but they were basically invisible in that football game. And how the hell are you going to beat anybody? Especially, look, the Giants have a top 10 pass defense. We now have to look at if you're going up, you got fantasy players in passing games going up against the Giants. I'm not saying that just bench them and run and hide, but you got to look at it more critically, and maybe you've got a better matchup and a better opportunity to get some points somewhere else. That was the big takeaway from that game for me, Luke, was the Giant pass defense was for real, right? They proved it against Rodgers, and then having Lazard and Doubs come up so small, they're the key to the Green Bay offense. We know the running backs are going to kick ass. So the question is, can Doubs and Lazard get it done against the New York Jets? Frankly, I like their chances at home. It's the Packers at home against the Jets at Lambeau. Okay, so there is some of that historical stuff at play here as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go ahead,
Luke,
sorry.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like, the stuff's going to burn down. The conversation will never end next week. It's all we'll hear about is the Aaron Rodgers days over. And I don't want to go there because I don't love when something diminishes the narrative. I want to ask you on one more game before we let you go. We really appreciate your time tonight. I just hit that follow button. Everybody else should too. If you're not already following at Luke Sawhook. So a game we haven't talked about yet, the 2-3 Bengals taking on the 2-3 Saints. Joe Burrow, you say you'd kiss Justin Herbert on the mouth. I mean, Joe Burrow is extra swaggy. I mean, the suit 2 weeks ago with the magnolias all over. Like, I love this kid. But
love Joe Burrow. Love him. I'm a Steelers fan.
Okay, and you got it. But I'm feeling a little lukewarm, and I don't know if it was the preseason appendicitis that got him out of his rhythm, because it is something that would slow you down. This appendicitis would have been better off happening 3 months ago, because it is a real surgery, and though it's done microscopically, when it bursts, they do have to break some rib cartilage, and there's things that go on. This game, I'm looking at Michael Thomas again. Here we are, right? Here we are with Michael Thomas again. If you had any trust, I drafted him in one team just because. But what do you see in this game on Sunday between the Bengals and the Saints?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, the Bengals offense has been off to a slow start. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans very frustrated with Zach Taylor's play calling so far this season with the lack of creativity. I actually tweeted out earlier a picture of Jamar Chase's route tree from week 1. If you look at my Twitter, you'll find it. It is horrible. It's all outbreaking stuff. no route longer than 20 yards. I mean, what are we doing with Jamar Chase? But anyway, T. Higgins was not out there, and he's going to be the integral piece of this offense for Joe Burrow and company. If he's out there this week, he should be back. Joe Burrow and T. Higgins has been a dynamic connection this year with Jamar Chase kind of struggling with those double teams. He's going to get Marshawn Lattimore this week. We'll see how he deals with that. But I think this is going to be a pretty good game for the Bengals. Hopefully, we saw Geno Smith carve him up this past week. Hopefully Joe Burrow can do the same, right, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I hope that's the same thing. But also, let's not forget, it's an Andy Dalton revenge game. Keep that in mind. It's going to be fun to see what happens with that. He's actually, he's 2-0 against the Bengals after he's been off the Bengals as a starter. It's a narrative. It's going to be fun. I think it'll be a good game. I'm hoping to see Joe Mixon continue to try to convert those opportunities into fantasy production. He's been pretty inefficient so far, so hopefully we get to see him get back on track and continue to get his yards per carry numbers up. But I think Joe Burrow and his Bengals passing attack should hopefully have a good game, even though Jamar Chase might have some issues with Marshawn Lattimore. Should be a fun one.
Rick, what you say on this one?
I mean, I agree in terms of Luke's breakdown on this Bengals and Saints game. I want less of Taysom Hill. Okay, is an Alvin Kamara manager in some leagues? Like, can I get one? Can we get one? Can we get a cookie over here? Can we get? I just a cookie. I don't need the whole box of Chips Ahoy's. Like 4. He had 4. Okay, not just a Sean Payton thing. I don't know. Like Cincinnati, Luke. Like I'm a Burrow guy too, right?
Right.
And not, I go back to Ohio State with Joe Burrow. I'm not going to do that to you, but man, I watched him that year. Halfway through that year at LSU, I said, they're beating Alabama. They're winning the national title. I just saw a freight train. I recognized it. And Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. My freaking God, it's one of the greatest offenses in college football history. Incredible. So I'm a Burrow guy. I just feel like I got Burrow. These games are all like super, super important for Cincinnati because they keep taking on L's. They should not have lost to Baltimore. Zach Taylor with the dumbass move to go for it when he should have just taken the field goal. I forget if it was late third or early fourth. Horrible. You're in a field goal game that requires kicking field goals. You don't have to go for it on 4th down. You don't have to be like Brandon Butt-ass Staley out there with the LA Chargers. I'm at my own 29, 4th and 2. I don't care. I'm going to go for it. Dude, this isn't what you do. So I got the Bengals. I do. They're -1.5. It's reasonable. That's the way I'm going with this one.
Well, Luke, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Please come back and visit us more often. Thank you so much, everyone. Follow at Luke Sawhook on Twitter and get all that. Great to see you tonight. And by the way, I got some MLB updates. Rick, I know you're probably paying attention right now, right? So Manny Machado just went deep and the Padres are up 1-0. How you feeling about that right now, Rick Kamla?
Well, we got Dodgers tonight, and they cut away a moment ago to Dave Roberts' face and expression, and he looked a little nervous, all right? But it's one run. It's a solo shot. The play here is, do you trust Yu Darvish in a playoff scenario or not? Coming into the Mets game, he was not to be trusted. He mowed him down against Max Scherzer and beat Max Scherzer. Can he do that again tonight against Clayton Kershaw? I'm betting against that. We got a long way to go. I still think the Dodgers are going to prevail here. It's 0-0. Wheeler and Kyle Wright with a bagel fest and in a big-time pitcher's duel there in Atlanta. And this Atlanta-Philly game, I'm telling you, man, I know how Atlanta people operate. They got a chip, right? And they're feeling good about it, but they know that the Atlanta and the Georgia sports curse maybe kind of still exists. They just lost game 1 to Philly. I know they didn't think they were losing that baseball game with Max Fried on the mound. And so now they're in a bagel game. So it's Sphincter 30 at Truist Park in North Atlanta. It is Sphincter 30 right now. There's a lot of nervous people in Atlanta. I can promise you that.
Yeah, there are. And that is definitely to be watched. And I'm telling you right now, these players are hungry because they did not have a big snack when they were waiting on that rain delay. I'm always thinking about the players' hunger. I know how they plan out their meals, and that makes you low blood sugar, and that makes you not as efficient. And that's when, guess what? You can get one off that, right? You can hit one.
I don't want to have to go to the bathroom in the bottom of the 4th inning. So, yeah, I'm not trying to eat 5 chicken fingers. And then I got, and what if the game goes 13 innings and I'm I'm uncomfortable the whole time. Yeah, I
mean,
can imagine.
Unless you're DK Metcalf and you can get rolled out in the cart to go to the bathroom, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
That was
He's
pretty
DK
awesome.
Metcalf though. He's in Nesquik ads. He's in like the chocolate milk ads. So they look out for him, man.
Yeah, now he has a whole new a bunch of advertising right here. I'm gonna just let's kind of touch on what's going on tonight in preseason hoops. We got a bunch of live games, and season is starting, so everybody needs to be drafting. And I know we want to talk a little bit of fantasy basketball, so let's hit it, Rick. What are you looking at this season? We know you're in a draft right now. We know you're in a 30 team draft. How many leagues will you be in, and how many of them have already drafted?
Oh my God, how many leagues am I in? Always a difficult question. Let me count them up. I'm in a real-time sports. It's like an FSGA thing. They tell me it's a big deal. No, I'm kidding. Matt Deutsch got me into that. I'll be representing Bettor Sports Network in that league. I've got the Cam Dynasty, which is my dynasty league. I'm in a 30-team dynasty league. And I'm also in this other 30-team league, which is a redraft league. I'm in that one right now. I'm trying to think here. I will be in probably 4 or 5 Yahoos. So, I mean, again, I just lose track as I say it right there. I'll be in like 7 or 8 basketballs. I'll be in about 5 or 6 hockeys. So I'll be keeping myself busy here over the winter in addition to all my football stuff. But I spoke with Paolo Banchero today. And I want to talk about how impressive this young man is. And if you're in a dynasty league, he should go no later than a second-round pick, okay?
Okay.
And obviously his stats are going to get better as we move forward. But this year I'm looking at him 17, 18 points, 7, 8, 9 rebounds, 2 or 3 assists, around a block, around a steal, around a 3. Maybe he goes 1-1-1 in the fantasy gold categories. The percentages aren't going to be great. They're only going to get better. But you're going to get pretty good production now. And I think like 3-4 years from now, we're going to be talking about one of the big boys in the NBA. But the fabric of this man, he comes from great parents. They've got him grounded. He could be arrogant and aloof and full of himself and standoffish and all of that stuff. He's not. He's intense, hardworking. I talked with people with the Magic. They were like, he was basically the hardest working guy of any guy on the team. So he didn't just like chill on being the number 1 pick. He wants to be great. And from the execs I talked to the coach, Jamal Mosley I talked to his teammates, they all said selfless, 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 selfless. It was the word that kept coming up. He wants to make teammates better. He wants to pass to them. He wants to just play the game the right way and not leave everybody behind. So I couldn't have been more impressed because we see what he did at Duke and you watch it, and then to sit down with him and just spend 10, 15 minutes with him. He's a great young man. And if you're in dynasty, that matters. Like a guy like Kevin Porter. Okay, let's juxtapose this for just a minute. God bless Kevin Porter. I'm not mad at him. I know he's had issues in the past. He's fixing them. He's in a really good direction here with Houston. He's trying to get some new money from Houston. In the back of your brain, you've got, is something going to come up? Is there going to be an issue? And when you're talking about a dynasty league, you mentioned that you have commitment problems, right? And maybe with boy meets girl, girl meets boy, but you've also got commitment issues with a dynasty league, right? Well, these are the things you have to vet. Do I trust this guy? I think Kyrie Irving's going to have a spectacular year. I do. I think he's going to be all NBA. I find it hard to believe he's going to be an MVP candidate higher than Kevin Durant, but he's going to have like a spectacular season. That said, who in the NBA wants to do business with him after this year? Will we see more unpredictable pump fake behavior from Kyrie Irving? It gives me pause to take him in a dynasty league.
In a dynasty league, yep.
Right? I mean, I appreciate him, but this is fantasy business here. And I need guys that I can trust, a Cade Cunningham, an Evan Mobley, a Bradley Beal, guys like that, that I don't have any concerns about. So that is a big factor for me in dynasty leagues.
It makes a huge difference when you get to have some face time, especially with a rookie, right? Because you've been around the league for long enough, Rick, to know a personality trait, what's habit forming, how someone connects with you. And I'm sure from these conversations you've had in the years that you've been covering the NBA, you've actually been able to kind of see the future for some of these young players from their energy, their actions, the way they conduct themselves, because if you come into the league cocky and selfish, you're only going to get more money. And guess what? You're going to get more cocky and more selfish. You know what I mean? If you come into the league and you're already a Kobe type thinker, right? Like, I just want to be better. I want to be my best. I want to be a good teammate. I don't want to steal the show. I want to share the show. I can understand why that would make a player stand out in a dynasty fantasy league.
What I can say over the years, LA, and a lot of times, I used to be the in-arena host for the NBA on draft night at Barclays, and we would have almost every rookie come over to us, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 8, and then 9, and then 10. Most of the big time guys. There have been a couple of guys over the years, and I'm not going to mention names, but they have really struck me with, that I've got arrogance radar. We talk about this. I don't like arrogance. I like humility. I like people that treat people like they want to be treated. Arrogance to me is not cool. If you're Wayne Gretzky or Brady or LeBron and you want to be a little arrogant, all right, dang. But you know what I'm saying? But like overall, I don't like it. And I've detected arrogance off of some of these young pups coming in. And then so I watch it and I built up a little book here. Typically the guys that in that moment are kind of full of themselves and kind of aloof and kind of cooler than thou, it doesn't quite work out like you think. It's the dudes that are humble and grounded and the grinders. There's another thing here, Lisa Ann, and everybody listening here on Better Sports Network, the NBA, and I don't know this about the NFL and Major League Baseball. I don't, okay? But all of the conversations I've had, interviews that I have done, woven into the fabric of these front offices and these coaching staffs and these rosters over the years, there's a real good guy approach in the NBA. And in the NFL, I think they'll mess with you with baggage a little bit more. In the NBA, there's such a small amount of players that the teams can be more selective of the types of guys they do business with. And so it's a real good guy driven league. And if you are a nefarious character, a character with baggage, a guy who's aloof and arrogant, teams will just say no to you. And they will get another guy, similar body type, similar game, so they don't have to deal with all of that stuff. And that reputation stuff really matters. That once a couple things start talking and out in Vegas, and then it goes to a reporter, boom, we got a narrative about you. And now you're in a box, and good luck getting out of the box. So being a good guy, I know it seems simplistic and all that kind of stuff, but it really matters. Like if you're a dynasty guy and you see an interview with a ball player on draft night and you just don't get a good vibe from that guy, right? That guy just rubbed me the wrong way. And you've got another similar player, take the other player. Trust that vibe. Listen to that voice in your head. Like, I just don't trust the character of this guy because character when it comes to dynasty drafting is a big, big deal.
Yeah, I understand. And look, maybe the commitment thing will change and one day I'll be able to hold on to a dynasty league. But right now I'm a season by season kind of girl. I don't have to build relationships with these players. They can make it or break it in the 1 year. And then maybe as I age, I'll develop this skill set to want to be in the relationship situation. But we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get back to talking NFL. We want to hear from all of you. Let's talk about the bye weeks, what players that you might have that you're deciding, like, who should I play instead of? We got 4 teams on buys. And so, another giveaway comes your way tomorrow morning at 11 Eastern on Moose and Keith with your chance to win a Joe Theismann signed 1983 NFL MVP inscription lunar speed full-size helmet courtesy of the getinthegame.com and Better Sports Network. No purchase necessary, must be 18 or over. Winners within the last 90 days are not eligible. So you need to stay tuned for all of the shows on this channel and make sure you are having fun with that fun button. We will be back, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, right here on Better Sports Live.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
Make bets and follow your while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely. Kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
Yeah, they're always readily available too, it seems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine
Graham
every
Gano.
single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get a call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story if you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number one all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next two guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. And he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah. He's like, you got a spot for me on the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
We totally have that spot.
Like, they had to like cobble together a soccer team. Like, this guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like, Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, it's imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom!
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story gets even crazier. Like, I should have looked it up again, but like, it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network.
Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.
Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
That's right. We are back right here, Rick, and we got a little Freddie Freeman action going on. A little shout out to Wiz Khalifa. I mean, I know, Rick, that you're into the rock and roll. I'm playing some rock and roll for us as well, but I got to tell you, there's always a thing for Wiz Khalifa. I don't know if anybody in the chat agrees with me, but there's just some classics, just fun music.
I love it. DJ LA. Now, I don't want to like give you a name. You give yourself a name. Well,
I think it'll be DJ LA. I think DJ LA is good. I think it's good. I think it's real good.
Well, you're DJ LA and you're
DJ
spinning the hits tonight. I love it. I love what we're hearing.
And now I'm learning, like, not all the hits are approved to be played. So I've got to like get my music list in early to make sure that we have like access to these songs. We're allowed to play these songs. So this is good to know. But we got a little action going on in the late game and still not much going on in the early game. So you saw that, I'm sure. We've got Freddie Freeman homers and the Dodgers tie it at 1, Rick. Things will get interesting.
I'm telling you, this is these are going to be spine-tingling games. I believe both of them. It's a 5-game series, man. So essentially, this is game 3. Like, we've already, like, we're already in this thing. Like, you can see the end at the beginning. In a 7-game series, you can't really see the end at the beginning. It's over, well, in basketball, it's over a 2-week period. You know how that goes. In baseball, it's like, we got to get the games in every day, pile them on top of each other, play them in the afternoon when nobody's watching.
Play them at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Play them during NFL on Sundays. Ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
I don't understand. Like, these are your biggest games. These are your most thrilling games, your most entertaining games, and you're burying them on a Tuesday afternoon when everybody's at work. And you're not going to DVR a baseball game. You're just not. You might DVR a football game, but baseball games are so long, and I don't know. It's even tough to quantify for me, but it's just different. Like, I don't a baseball game, like, you turn it on and you leave it on, right? And you can fold laundry, make dinner. Like
Sure.
with football, I'm more of a scientist. Like I stop it, or if I go to the bathroom, like I need to watch every single play.
Yep.
I don't need to watch every pitch in a baseball game. I don't. I mean, sometimes you do, but I don't. It's just different that way. But Freddie Freeman had a bagel in game 1. And so hitting a home run here. And now we're tied at 1. Kershaw against Darvish. It's as good as it gets. I got the Dodgers tonight. And look, I didn't like the line. It was minus 190, knowing that Darvish is on the other mound. But I'm going with the Dodgers because of Darvish's playoff history, and I just don't trust that he's going to do it again. Well, so far he's doing it again, holding the Dodgers to only 1 run. And then with Braves and Phillies, we're in an absolute war here. It's 0-0, 6th inning, and I'm telling you, in Atlanta, it is pressure time because these are the champs. You do not think about this. If you go down 0-2, now you're going to Philadelphia. Okay, like your season is probably over. We've seen crazy runs in baseball, but damn, the law of averages and the percentages greatly go in Philly's favor if they win this game tonight. And so far, it's bagel. I love a pitcher's duel, Lisa. And in the baseball, would you rather see 9-8 or would you rather see a low-scoring pitcher's duel?
Oh, low scoring, because that's really the whole part of the game, right? It's not a points thing. It's the magic between the relationship between the pitcher and the catcher and making sure that they're reading everybody and also the hitter. So it's also been something with this whole, this whole Aaron Judge run is like, a friend of mine was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he got walked again. I'm like, well, do you want to be the pitcher that's in the history books that he hit his 61st, 62nd, 63rd off? You don't, because you are going to be in the history books. I would walk him all day long. That is the smartest thing to do to keep your name out of that conversation, just to protect your own legacy. That's not where you want to be. But you had mentioned you don't record MLB games. You remember the Seinfeld where Jerry recorded the Mets game and he hadn't gotten home to watch it yet. This was back in the VHS days. Remember how complicated it was to record on a VHS tape. You had to make sure the channel was changed on a certain channel. Like there were so many steps you had to take and it didn't always record. He records it. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. And what does Kramer do? He comes into his place and talks to him about the final score of the Mets game. That's what it's like. So we've got a little NFL conversation here. Purple Beat says he's paired Jacoby Myers with Justin Jefferson. So we're getting into the conversation about these bye weeks. We've got the Lions, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Titans. I think this is pretty light, other than Devontae Adams managers. There are probably some Derek Carrs out there in Superflex. There's definitely some Josh Jacobs. But, when you look at this, is probably the worst 4 teams combo, Rick Kamla, because of how light management ownership is on these teams, other than your 2 or 3 studs. These are not heavily drafted people we're avoiding. The Houston, Texas, like I have quite a few shares of Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks, but they're not shares that I'm playing every single week anyway.
Right.
They're not my 1s. They're not my 2s, right? They're matchup dependent. But when you look at these 4, it makes you really fearful of looking ahead. So you might not be as worried about these 4 teams that are on bye weeks this week, but you should be preparing for the next 3 weeks. Am I right?
I don't, it's not really for me about preparing. It's just about going with the flow. And, I personally, and it's probably really good advice and really smart to do that. And maybe I'm in too many leagues to look ahead like that, but I'm like in the moment, right? And so it's this week, literally coming off of the Sunday and Monday games. I do not know what the next schedule has. Now, obviously the networks have really been blowing up the Bills and Chiefs game, right? Bills and Chiefs, game of the century, coming up next week. This week isn't even over, but we're going to tell you about next week's game.
So
cool. I get it. I get it. But most weeks I'm a real like in the moment dude. And so I don't turn the page. But in terms of this week, and it's not like we're going to give you advice right now. Go get Kenneth Walker off waivers. Okay. It's Wednesday night. If you still have the opportunity to do it, obviously go do it. Your waivers is probably passed. It should have been very, very obvious to all of you to make Kenneth Walker very, very high. Eno Benjamin as well. So if you've got Derrick Henry, if you've got Jacobs, if you've got Damian Pierce, these are and feel good about putting them in. You may have Jeff Wilson chilling on your team, and he's a guy you picked up, and now he's at Atlanta. Okay, fantastic matchup. So don't be afraid to put Jeff Wilson into your lineup. He's the bell cow there. He busts at least 1 long run every week. And he's the homie. That Jeff Wilson is the homie, and a real Luke earlier mentioned he was in a lonely place on a particular player, right? I've been in a lonely place about Jeff Wilson, and it's really fun now to see him.
It was Jacoby Myers, or was it Jacoby Brissett?
It was Jacoby Myers. Really good call by you.
Yep.
And so I've been in a lonely place on Jeff Wilson. I made some trades in dynasty leagues. I traded a 3rd-round pick in a dynasty league to go get him. Knowing probably that we'd have an injury here, and I hit gold on that one. I don't hit gold on all of my moves, but Benjamin. Darrell Williams got banged up. James Conner. Look, they may just start making a blend the backfield decision anyway, based on James Conner's ineffectiveness this year. He's been absolutely awful. But Eno's on the come. Look good on his touchdown run. But as we dive into some of this other stuff, I want to go a little IDP on you right here, because IDP leagues really make the bye week. You feel the bye week more in an IDP league, because you not only have these tough decisions, LA, with the stashes on the offense, but now you've got them on the defense as well. So it really forces you to drop a guy that you don't want to drop.
Yeah.
But at cornerback, if you need a cornerback, Cameron Dantzler of the Minnesota Vikings, a guy you should go out and look at. His numbers are off the charts. He had the game-winning walk-off strip of Smith Marset at the end of the Bears game. Dorrance Armstrong of your Dallas Cowboys, absolutely killing it off the edge, opposite to Micah Parsons. Definitely go get him if you need a defensive lineman or a D-end. I literally picked him up on waivers this week, and I've got him in a bunch of my other IDP leagues because I've been on him. I've been a fan of Dorrance Armstrong. Go get him. Zach Allen, defensive end for Arizona, has been killing it. He's ascending each week and getting better. He's getting a good snap count. And then Julian Love of the New York Giants. In Yahoo leagues, I believe he's cornerback and safety, which is huge. So he's bringing safety numbers to the cornerback position, which is a real difference maker. And so he's a fantastic player, hot shot at Notre Dame, finally getting his first starting role. And Julian Love is a fantastic pickup if you need a cornerback or a safety on bye. So I wanted to give the people some IDP advice, because IDP with the bye weeks, it becomes even more of a burden and a hassle.
Well, we've got Scrim Daddy in here who says, seems like half of my team is on bye week 7 and the other half is bye week 14. And it's funny because one of the things I learned very early on, now look, when you're drafting, paying attention to bye weeks is very important, but it also matters when you're making pickups on the waiver wire, right? You have to always be looking at this, because my first year drafting, I didn't do that. Then I was making some pickups. Then I was running into this bottleneck. I have 5 I have 5 starters all out in the same week. It does make a difference through the season. And I think when we go to the waiver wire, it's easy to forget about that. You're either trying to grab the next hottest player, you're trying to make a move. And sometimes I'll say no to a player, even though I'd like to draft him, but I just know I really can't, because I know, I'm heavy on bye weeks. Next week is going to be Buffalo, Los Angeles Rams, Minnesota Vikings, and the Philadelphia Eagles. That is a heavy fantasy implication week. That is a week where, and the reason I say, I know it's hard to look ahead when you're in multiple leagues, but if you can look ahead right now and start to plan out some trades, because you're not going to want to get rid of the players that you have and go on the waiver wire. This is when you start to look at your team, you evaluate, and you're like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm in a situation where I know that I'm going to be missing some key pieces. What can I do now to plan 2 weeks ahead? Because that is a big one. And then the following week, it's a lighter week. It's only 3 teams. But it's Kansas City, 2 weeks, 2 teams, Kansas City and the Los Angeles Chargers. So you get a little reprieve right there. So this gives you, again, a little bit more time. But next week is going to be the tough one. And that's going to be Buffalo, Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Rams, Minnesota Vikings, and Philadelphia. This week probably isn't as scary for many people in the league.
It's a great breakdown right there. So let me give you one more bye week replacement tout, and then I want to play a game with you, LA.
Okay.
So TJ Hawkinson is on bye this week. Okay. So a lot of us need to go to waivers and get a tight end to pick him up. Hayden Hurst, believe it or not, is still at least coming into this waiver period, was still available in a lot of leagues. And with the Higgins injury and Tyler Boyd just shrinks by the game. And it seems like his role in that offense is growing. Go get him. And it doesn't even matter who he's playing, right? We're going off waivers to get a tight end. I'm looking for talent. I'm looking for volume. And the matchup really doesn't affect me much with that. And then if he's already on a team Daniel Bellinger of the New York Giants. It's nickels and dimes. It's not great, but dang it, he's a talented young player. They run jet action with him. They do Travis Kelce around the goal line type of stuff with him, try to get him the ball in little tunnel screens and little shovel passes. They do stuff like that with him. And he's a creative piece for them. So he's involved consistently. You might only get 7 or 8 fantasy points from him, right? But hey, we're looking to fill in for TJ Hawkinson, who is out. Now, here's the game I wanted to bring up to you, because you mentioned bye weeks. And in the Cam Dynasty, I am so freaking screwed. It's a 2-quarterback league, okay? And like I said, 0-3 to start. I've won 2 in a row. I'm looking to keep Uncle Mo in my corner.
Okay.
I do not have a quarterback this week. I've got Derek Carr on bye, Jared Goff on bye, Ryan Tannehill on bye, and Baker Mayfield last week with the high ankle sprain. I have 0 quarterbacks. The only quarterback on waivers is Skylar Thompson of the Miami Dolphins. And we know he's going to play this week. We know that he was a star in the preseason, and we know that he didn't look that good last week against the New York Jets. I have remaining fob, okay, is
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you able, is it a flex position or is it strict quarterback only?
Okay, so one is strict quarterback only, and then the other is a flex. So I'll be able to put another position player in that other spot. But I don't have a quarterback to put at my quarterback spot. And again, in a must win. So what I want to know from you, this may be only a 1-week thing, but this is why we have FOB money to make it through the bye weeks and work around the landmines, right?
Sure.
FOB left for me is 580 out of 1,000. I got 580 left.
Okay.
I need Skylar Thompson. I mean, if he gives me 10, 11, 12, 13 points, cool. I got to have something better than like Rashad White or Pacheco or some deep stash that I'm going to be forced to put in my lineup. So how much FOB am I going on Skylar Thompson in this scenario here?
So have you scoped out your league mates to see if anybody else would be in the need and grabbing at the same straw, which is something I do because I don't want to the worst is when you throw out too much of your fab and then you go and you're like, oh my gosh. But then also the worst is when you put in a bid, you lay your head on your pillow to go to sleep and you think, I think I need to add $7 to that. I think I need to add $20 to that. I think somebody,
I do that all the time.
Oh my gosh.
I keep going up.
You know, so I think for me, I would analyze that, but I wouldn't want to spend more than $100 because you're only facing week 6. Am I right?
But it's a must-win game.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
If I was 4-1 or 3-2, I'd have a different take. Like, okay, but I have it at 113 right now. I have it.
113. Okay, so you do the odd number as well. So do I.
Wait a minute.
It was like 111.
Deutsch is in this league. Here's the thing. Matt Deutsch is in this league. He's listening to the show. I presume he's in here somewhere. Oh my God, I'm giving out trade secrets. Don't steal my guy.
He cannot. Okay, we got a max. First of all, we got a couple updates to the MLB game. We'll get right back on this topic as well. So Acuna got hit in the forearm elbow with a pitch. He's staying in the game, but he's obviously in pain. Braves, Phils still tied at 0 in the 6th. Now we're going to go back out west. Max Muncy, who does it big every postseason. Max Muncy homer. Dodgers are up 2-1. Boy, Max Muncy has been so clutch for the Dodgers.
He has. Now, this regular season, he was a Mendoza line player and hit some home runs.
That's how he's been, though. Couple of seasons in a row, he's been like that because I remember having him when I was playing fantasy baseball and kind of mediocre. But then postseason comes, it's like that's when he comes alive. It's like he loves the big stage. He loves the big moment. Some players shine, and then we've seen other players bomb in the postseason. Like just no postseason in you. Like we say James Harden doesn't have a lot of postseason in him.
Your boy Tony Romo.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that. My boy Tony Romo.
Your boy.
So, okay, 113 is what you're going to be putting in right here. And this is
I'm thinking about going up. Like I look at this and I'm like,
117.
Is this enough? Like I'm thinking like 178. Like yeah, look at this. This is the escalation I'm talking about. And by the way, I spend FOB money. Like a pretty girl spends money on weird purses on Rodeo Drive. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I am, some of these guys I can't go $2 over the FOB. if I want a guy, I get the guy. I told you I spent like $338 on the Dallas defense, okay? And it won me a game. It literally won me a game to save my season. That move, because the Dallas defense has been that good.
Now you will have week 9 will be when you don't have a defense. And I know you're not going to throw them back. So you're going to have to pick up a defense or go and ride without a defense for week 9. How will you handle that? Because I'm sure in this dynasty league, you said it's 14 teams. Am I correct?
Yes.
Aren't a lot of defenses on the way, right?
There's like 3 defenses left out there and they all suck. Yes. Oh, here's a run on the board for the Bravos. Matt Olson with a base hit to right field off the glove of the first baseman. Throw home is not there. I believe it's going to be 2-0 here. Change the scoreboard. There were runners. Now, 1 run in, first and third now, 2 outs. A big clutch hit by Matt Olson of the Atlanta Braves. And everybody is breathing a little bit easier. And, right? It's at Chiefs games. It's at Braves games. It's at Florida State games. And it's quite the vibe in a Braves game, I'll tell you that.
Quite the vibe. All right, let's talk about this with our comments here. We've got Frost Stonik says, how dare you? Romo is a national treasure.
Oh my God, are you serious? A national treasure? He's a national disaster.
A lot of people that do believe, and Dallas defense is set and forget it. So we want to hear from you. Who are you making decisions about this week? Since this is the first week in this NFL season where we are facing bye weeks. We've got 4 teams on bye. The Lions, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Titans. And again, I think it's so super fluky because look, every week, if you have faced Josh Allen, now I don't have Josh Allen on any of my teams. Do you, Rick Kamla?
I do not, because he goes at a place where I'm taking running backs or wide receivers.
Thank you. But yet, everybody who has them beats you. Like, every time I'm facing him, like last week, first thing I did when he started to go off is like, all right, how many leagues am I facing Josh Allen? Then you look at the rest of their team. All they needed was one more player that went off. And next thing you know, you're toast, right? You're just toast. So next week will be a get right game for players who are maybe at this point, 2-4, and you're looking at like, well, I've been facing, sometimes it's luck in fantasy. We all know this in our leagues. It could be luck where you have high scoring, but you just seem to face that uber high scoring team every week. Like that's just how it's working out for you. That starts to balance out a little bit when these Buymageddon situations happen where it's teams that have a lot of offense, right? So you got a lot of people who doubled up. They took Steph Diggs and Josh Allen. Well, they're not going to stand up to the plate when they've got to face next week's bye weeks. A lot of people with Cooper Kupp, same thing. We're going to be in this situation with Philadelphia, the Jalen Hurts team managers. So when you really start to look at how this could balance out for you, if you've been like me and you've faced these matchups, what will players be doing? So when the Chiefs have a bye, I'm in trouble. Purple Beats has Kelsey, Allaire, and MVS. Now I want to ask this. I want to ask Purple
Why
Beats.
does he have MVS? Why is he on your roster?
That's what I'm asking.
Bum.
Have you been rolling them out every single week? Because there's no way you can be rolling out MVS. Allaire, yes. Okay, I can see that.
Yes.
I can see Kelsey. Yes. Okay, I can see that. So Jeff says, Script Daddy says, I've got an Eagles stack and I definitely understand. Stacking works in DFS because it's a week and it's done, but it doesn't work in fantasy for a season-long league. It really messes you up. So Jeff, you're going to have to start making some trades. You are going to have to plan for that demise and make some trades. It's next week. So you got to do it now and think that the person you're trading with either doesn't need the player for that week or doesn't know that it's a bye week. I know it's a little shady, but
Yeah. No, that's good fantasy business right there. I'm trying to win. I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not. I will jokingly, and I'll explain. The Braves got another run on the board.
Austin Riley.
Yeah, Austin Riley hit a dribbler off the mound there, up the third baseline. Wheeler came over to field it and turned to throw and was like, all right, it's already over. And he ate the ball. Runner on third, scores 2-0 Braves. And now Darno's up with first and second and 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Reel me back in. What were we just talking about? It's been a long day.
The Eagles stack is stacking your season-long league. Our friend Purple Beats, who has MVS and says MVS is the bye week move. Yeah, you get rid of MVS. I would get rid of MVS this week. I would make the move now. Let MBS be somebody else's problem. You're not starting MBS. So, look, your bench players are incredibly valuable right now. It doesn't mean you have to start them. It means you have to be filling that bench with players that you're going to be starting when you're facing a heavy bye week. So start to rebuild your bench. I know you want to hold on to a player because you think he might come on in week 11 or week 12, but there ain't no time for that in this season long. This is not dynasty. This is one season at a time. So do you agree with me, Rick, that this is the time to build your benches and be even more aggressive on the waiver wire, even if the bye week hasn't hit you yet?
I got to be honest. I don't think there should be any change in your approach to the waiver wire all season long. I feel like you should be aggressive every single week, right? If you miss a week, well, you missed out on maybe Kenneth Walker this week, right? He's going to be a stud, I don't know, maybe a monster the rest of the year. The Seattle offense looks pretty damn good. Surprisingly so. I got Gino's been dropping dimes out here, man. I mean, looking really, really good. Looking, dare I say, talented. Okay. The line's been playing better than we all thought it was going to. Lockett and Metcalf are getting their numbers. Rashad Penny was looking good before he went down. So I'm going to take a week off. I'm busy on Tuesday night. All my Yahoo leagues, I don't have time to put the moves in. Wrong answer. I can't tell you how many times it's late at night and I'm literally falling asleep at the end of the night. 1:15 in the morning, 1:45 in the morning, knowing I got to get it in before like 3. And I'm like falling asleep. I wake up. I complete the transaction. I go and I fall asleep. Like literally I do. I'm not making this up because you can't take a week off with the waiver wire. And so those first 4 weeks or 5 weeks here heading into week 6 are about building up the Khalil Herberts. And we know that the Montgomery thing has changed that, but getting the Jeff Wilsons, boom. Now you put him in your lineup, you feel really good about it. So you can't like take a week off on the waiver wire. Got another hit here by the Braves. Another run coming in here. So they are rallying, and it's Darno with an RBI single. Still 2 outs, first and third now, and Wheeler's kind of coming apart at the seams here a little bit. His pitch count's up to 78. Bottom of the 6th. The manager's not coming out of the dugout yet, but like I said, the game's not over, okay? But I had an Atlanta vibe tonight. I didn't see Philadelphia's been rolling, but we know how baseball is. It humbles you. And I just didn't see Atlanta falling down 2-0 heading back to Philadelphia. Now, again, we got 3 innings left here. A lot of stuff could happen. They haven't run away and hide from Philly just yet. Although, does that even matter? Because that weird Seattle-Toronto game last weekend was like 7-1 Toronto, and Seattle came back and won that game amazingly. So it's baseball, man. It's very, very weird. But this is the Braves team I thought I was going to see tonight. Clutch hitting, good pitching, getting back to playing Braves baseball.
I do my best waiver wire team management while I'm walking uphill on the treadmill.
Nice.
I multitask that. That's when I got to be doing all my stuff. So that's like when I'm down there, I want to get a good hour in. You don't have to walk fast. You just all the inclines. So you're taking nice slow steps because you're climbing up that thing and you're getting in a workout and you're staying on it, because I like to see first thing in the morning who landed, right? Who everybody got rid of to make their pickups. I think it's just as important for the following week, depending on how your settings are, depending on when you can make moves. But this is really the time. And this is where I think teams start to fall off, where they lose interest, where they're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to manage this past this. You can get past the bye weeks. If you're in a super flex, like most of my super flex that I commission, especially, and the ones that I put together, I make sure that it's not strict just quarterbacks, because you know what? If you're in a buy situation, throw a wide receiver in there. Do what you got to do. Just put a player in there. Just don't leave your team where you know you're going to get a 0.
Are you feeling Devin Duvernay as like, are you there, like picking him up, maybe putting him in your lineup in a pinch? Because this dude's making plays every week, man. I mean, he's not setting the world on fire. I loved him at Texas. They've groomed him. He's popping now. I'm a Duvernay guy. Are you a Duvernay chick?
I have him on the bench in 2 leagues, and I had some of the leagues that I'm co-managing with friends that I'm getting into fantasy football available in their league. So I put them on their bench as well. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, there's too much good happening here for me to wait until that week where he goes off, and then everybody wants him, right? So this is the forward thinking of like, yeah, I'm seeing good things. I'm not seeing bad things. This is where I think he was my pickup when I dumped Melvin Gordon, and it wasn't because of anything other than Melvin Gordon's fumbles, but I'm like, why am I going to look at you on my bench? I'm not going to feel confident playing you. I might as well just pick up a viable player that I'd rather be waiting for till I'm ready to play. And that was Devin Duvernay.
I like him. I do, especially with the Bateman injury. But even with, first game, he had 2 touchdowns. Bateman was out there. So wanted to get your vibe on that. As I was giving some tight end replacements, I forgot about Taysom Hill. And I love the QB tight end dual designation for him. Like, he obviously last week was a game-winning performance, probably not in a lot of lineups, but whether it's throwing or running the ball, stealing carries from Alvin Kamara, catching the ball, like, he's going to be involved enough. Like, if you need a tight end off of waivers, definitely take a look at him. And I got a kicker, right? I mean, because we've got my guy, Daniel Carlson.
Quite a few kickers injured. Yeah.
And Carlson's on bye this week. So personally, I love getting Dallas defense and Daniel Carlson. Like, because they're not the top guys. I usually take defense and kicker in the last 2 rounds of regular drafts. And usually those guys are there. Why? I don't know, but they are. So, but Carlson's off this week. Graham Gano is the pick up and play, I believe. He's having a fantastic year. It's an offense where field goals matter, right? We're talking about a Daniel Jones offense. So it's not like Brandon Staley, if we don't get 7, this possession sucks. Like, Dable's a gangster. He understands 3 points matters. He comes from the Saban tree. And so Gano's been put up to bat a lot. He's kicking a high efficiency rate. And again, it's just, he's a weapon for that team. And you're playing the Baltimore Ravens, who don't have a great defense. And I think there's going to be, 23, 26 points on the board, something like that, with probably 3 or 4 field goals. I think Graham Gano could have a really, really big week. So if you have Daniel Carlson, you need a kicker replacement. I know your league doesn't have a kicker, and that's fine. I still like messing around with kickers. I do. Yeah. Call me crazy. I don't want to be in a 2-kicker league. I'm in a 2-kicker league, and it's kind of annoying. Like, you got to follow kicker news too much and all that kind of stuff, because believe it or not, kickers were like a pricey item at the draft. I'm like, because I slept on the position, right? Even in a 2-kicker draft. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is all that's out there? And so I went bang, bang with my next 2 picks on kickers. And I got like Bullock and Pinheiro, right? Or actually I got Zane Gonzalez and then had to downshift to Pinheiro when he blew a tire. And so that's too much kicker, but I do like a 1-kicker league. I do. I'm old school.
Well, I looked up a story while we were talking kickers because I couldn't remember if it was a kicker or a punter, but I'm not sure if you heard or read that Jamie Gillen from the New York Giants is having passport issues and is still stuck in London. So he's originally from Ireland, and something happened coming back. Now, look, this is on the NFL, isn't it, Rick? Like, shouldn't the NFL make sure that if you're going to start doing London games and flying players back and forth that are from other countries, don't you think you should fine tune this process? Because he's still stuck there and it's Wednesday.
Wow. That's not good. It's not good at all. I don't think the NFL cares about any of that stuff. They should, but they don't. They want to print money, and don't bug Roger. He's on the golf course right now. So I don't, don't get me started.
And how about the expansion teams, of the potential of 4 teams playing over there as early as 2025, I think, right?
I don't like the window. I have no problem with playing European football. I don't like the window. I don't like the early Sunday morning window. And like, I don't, it's a me problem. It's probably not a greater like societal problem. People like popping on the game. I don't like it because that's a window, to sleep in, wake up and
to have breakfast, to not start working right away. Yeah.
Because like every other day of the week, I wake up and boom, the clock has started and I'm going, and trust me, it's a blessed life. It's not a complaint, but you know how it is, the grind, go. Sunday's that one day where it just kind of moves slow and I like it. And so it creates more of a hustle for me. I don't know. I'll stop complaining here, but I'm not a fan of that game being in the window that it's in.
I think it's going to be.
London. I just don't like that window.
I agree. It could go on another day or night of the week, right? Like, would it kill us if we got a Saturday afternoon or evening game? We'd watch, it wouldn't be as long of a day to be focused on that one thing,
I like
right?
The Saturday night call. I do.
You could find it because look, when the playoffs are on Saturday nights, we love it. We love watching 2 nights. We love it. What do we watch on Saturday nights? But what I think is going to be very interesting is, how you adjust the draft. How are you going to, when we brought in expansion teams before, how teams have divided up the additional players that each team was offering out, how players will be in this situation I listen to Pat McAfee every day, and they were talking about the fact that, like, what do the practice squad guys do? Like, you get called up and you got to fly 11 hours over there from the West Coast, right? You get over there, they're like, you came on Tuesday, you're off the practice squad on Thursday, then they call you back next week. Because you know that's how it is for the practice squad. Sometimes you're signed, sometimes you're sent home. That is so complex.
It's too complex. And we've had good games over there, right? The Vikings and Saints game was very good. The Giants and Packers game was very good. I know Fat Check. I was talking with Fat Check about this, Lisa, and on my Mad Dog show last Saturday, and he was explaining how much people in Britain love the NFL, and he said they play fantasy over there. They sell out he said it's an impossible ticket to get when the NFL is playing in London. I did not know that. I figured there'd be, people involved and people liking it, but he said, no, it's like a hot
They
ticket.
sell out in 6 to 8 minutes.
Wow.
It's like a concert. When you really want to go to a concert and the concert sells out, Taylor Swift concerts sell out 4 minutes, right? It is like a concert. They love it. Actually, one of my friends, Andrew from London, is in one of my leagues, and they love it. They absolutely love it. They watch every single game, and for them, it is that convenience factor of getting to watch the game, on their time. But I think we could find it in a different day. Purple Beat says the travel schedule will hurt those teams. Well, they are going to wait until the next supersonic jet. So remember the Concorde that used to cut down the travel time.
Yes.
There is a new series of planes that have been finally approved where, like from me, it would be like 2.5 hours to get to Europe instead of 5-6 hours, right? So that would be a huge thing. But if you're on the practice squad, you're not getting on that expensive supersonic. You're taking a coach flight. You're taking a regular plane. We got more scoring. Machado double, game tied at 2 in Los Angeles. A lot happening out there at Dodger Stadium right now, Rick Kamla.
Machado's got a couple of knocks off of off of Kershaw so far. And it's 2-2. Still 3-0 in the Braves and Phillies game. Look, LA's trying to put the hammer on San Diego tonight. You've got these 2 home games. You had Urias yesterday. You've got Kershaw tonight. You're going to go to Slam Diego for a couple of games here. They're looking to, hold serve, but also, take kind of a stranglehold on this series. In San Diego, I'm very impressed with, they don't have Fernando Tatis. I thought this team was sort of like, well, I don't think like I've seen it. Like, I've noticed a dip in the win column. I've noticed a dip with the production of the players when Tatis is not in the lineup because he's that charismatic and magnetic and infectious of a dude. He's just that type of guy. And so I figured that they were just a sacrificial lamb going into the playoffs here. Their lineup is not great. Their bullpen is not great. But this is baseball. And baseball's freaking weird, okay? And you, like, the Phillies with beating the Braves yesterday, going to St. Louis and buzzsawing them. San Diego, I didn't think they were going to beat the Mets. They beat the Mets. They gave Scherzer the worst start of his career, Max Scherzer. Okay, and now they got 2 runs on Kershaw. They scored 3 runs yesterday. They hit the ball well against Urias. The Dodger bullpen came in and silenced it, and they were able to hold on for that 5-3 win. But I've been impressed. Like, there's a spark, there's a magic, there's a vibe with San Diego. And look, that it's postseason magic. And we've seen teams that weren't supposed to do this. I'm not saying San Diego is going to win the World Series. Do you remember the run that Eli had with the New York Giants when they went to Green Bay and it was -20 and they won? They beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Like, they weren't supposed to win any of the games that they played, and they won them all. So weird stuff happens, man. And San Diego could be that team this year.
That's sports right there. We're going to get to a quick break, but before we do, I want to tell you that the new bettersports.com website is here. And while you're listening on the app, you can see our host and program schedule, upcoming prizes for giveaways, plus the Better Sports Network Marketplace featuring shirts, steel tumblers, blankets, beanies, and more, all available at bettersports.com. We'll be back in 2.
Lisa Ann and Rick Pamela are live on Better Sports Network.
All right, we are back on Better Sports Network. Something, a little technical difficulty right there. But having a blast with Lisa Ann here on Better Sports Live, on Better Sports Network. Kershaw's got a big 2-2 pitch right here. Cronenworth is up. One out, second and third now for San Diego in this crucial game. Again, 5 games. Why are we doing only 5 games, Lisa Ann? Why? I understand a 3-game wild card series, but I didn't like. Remember when the NBA the first round was 5 games, and then they went to 7-7-7 in the last 3 rounds. I did not like that. It makes it too easy, I think, for the underdog to beat the better team. And why do we want less? We don't want less. We're baseball fans. We're basketball fans. We want more. Okay, so I don't like that it's a 5-game series here, but San Diego's got a rally here going on Kershaw. I'll give you updates as we move along. By the way, I have an update on Skylar Thompson gate here, Lisa Ann.
Okay, Skylar Thompson gate. You were at 117. Where are you at? No, you were at 113 on the bid. Where are you at right now? What have you gone up to?
You guess. You take a guess. I went up. I'll say that. I went up. Take a guess.
167.
228.
Oh, you spending big. You are like the women buying handbags.
I am. I'm like your girl Paris Hilton in these $20,000 handbags. That's how I treat FOB. I don't care about FOB. Look, in a league like this, waivers sucks, okay? It is what it is. It's a 14-team league. We've got long rosters so you can stash players and have them and let them germinate and pop and all the Dynasty League stuff. Waivers sucks. So when I see, I went hard at Tyrion Davis Price. And I know he's hurt right now, but he was dropped. And I was like, wait a minute. Hotshot coming out of LSU rookie. And so I went large at him. I bid like $515. Somebody went like $618 and they got him. So when waivers is so trash, when I want a guy, I go get a guy. So I'm going if you would have told me at the start of this year, Cam, entering week 6, you're going to be so starved at the quarterback position, you need to spend $228 in FOB on Skylar freaking Thompson, who I wasn't even a fan of at Kansas State in his college career. I would have called you nuts. I would have given you a plastic cup and said you might want to go pee in it because we need to check your urine for performance-enhancing drugs or perhaps mind-altering drugs. That's where we're at. 228 on Skylar Thompson right now. I'll let you know if I get him.
That is rich. I like where you're going there. I'm actually looking up some injury updates right now to see if we have anything in the NFL that is new. Because that's another thing you got to think about right now. Don't just think about your bye weeks. Look at your players. I look at Wednesdays now as a totally different day. I don't know about you, Rick, but it seems like the questionable tag is so very common on Wednesdays. So the way I see it is like, I'm not really going to make major decisions on what I see on Wednesdays, especially veteran players. Not worried about Aaron Rodgers taking a day off because of a thumb. I look at it like when you are an athlete of this ilk, right? You've been playing for so many seasons. You kind of do know that one day of resting something could make a big difference. You also know that one day of reusing it could agitate it and make it last a lot longer. So I think it's smart. Once we get to Thursday and Friday, though, you got to get serious. So if you're not paying attention now to just bye weeks, you also have to be paying attention to injuries. We're seeing like these quarterback situations with bad calls, these quarterback situations with concussions. Like for me, I replaced Tua with Teddy. Obviously, that didn't work out for me. So here we are, and we're going to be seeing players getting taken out of games on a kind of question mark of a what if. And you're just down and out for the rest of the game. It's the first quarter. You're like, oh my gosh, this is my replacement for my injured quarterback. There's barely anybody left on the waiver wire, and now I've got nobody.
Last week, I had to play without Jonathan Taylor. I always try to back him up with Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines had his bell rung right at the beginning of the game. There you go.
First 2 minutes of the game.
And it's on Thursday night too, right? So you got to live with that one in his scoring column. By the way, Cronenworth hit a ground ball to first with the runners on second and third. And they got the out, but a run came in. Slam Diego now leads the Dodgers. Darvish over Kershaw in this one, 3-2. And then Will Myers hit a ball to the track, and Mookie Betts made an amazing running catch on it. I shouldn't say amazing. It wasn't amazing. It was a good running catch by Mookie Betts on the warning track. So Slam frickin' Diego, man. They're up 3-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th right now. The Bravos are up 3-0 on the Phils. So are you, I want to know, are you a playoff baseball Like, do you have the game on right now, or do you have? I mean, does it do it for you? Does playoff
I
baseball do it
have
for you?
nothing on right now just because I didn't want to be distracted because I knew I would. As the lead, I want to be responsible. If there was a football game, and of course it would be on, but I
It's so
don't have
funny you
anything
say
on.
that.
What? That I didn't want to be
So
distracted?
it's like I don't when I'm doing my show with Antonio on NBA radio, Antonio Daniels 1 to 4 Eastern Monday through Friday. I don't have the TV on like he does, and he has the panel shows on, so he'll see sort of the hot takey stuff they're talking about. And I don't like if the other day I was doing my NBA radio show, there was day baseball on, right? I love day baseball. I love playoff baseball. I did not turn the game on though, because I'd be looking up and a big hit, and then I miss like this little critical thing that he says, and then my reaction after him is off and wonky, and he goes, "Wait a minute, were you not listening to what I was just saying?" So like it's right, and so I don't. It's about being distracted. Now with you tonight, we know we got this live sports going on,
Of course,
and I'm able to
of
make it work.
course.
But if I had that optionality, I will go without a game, and I will just focus on running the one, which you're doing a killer job of, by the way.
So this year I took off from baseball. The only thing I was covering this year was football. It was the year of my 50th birthday. I decided I was only going to cover one sport. I was going to be able to travel the entire summer, and I was just going to. And now here I am jumping back into my first time being back on air these last 2 weeks now, picking up the ball, right? So now I know I've got to be paying attention more. Now the stat lines that I'm reading are not just one dimensional with one sport. Basketball season is coming, and I'm ready to settle back in. But so yeah, I've kind of just been disconnected from MLB this entire year. If there was a game on, I'd have it on the background, but I wouldn't really be truly focused. But it's more about being the lead. We had 2 guests coming in tonight. Now, we do have a good question in the chat. And because this has been a debate, and it's something that I have feelings about. So Dave Poland says, do you think that Devontae Adams should be charged with assault, or do you think the photographer just walked in front of him the last second, and Devontae didn't see him? Okay,
Didn't see him. He shoved him down.
I get it, but like I've heard so many hosts today think that he should be charged with assault, and I am so against this. Like, I am so against this. First of all, you are putting yourself in front of somebody's body who may or may not be putting it. Look, I'm living the life where sometimes I go places and people shove a camera right in my face, and it's gonna
Paparazzi,
hit.
you're that girl. You're that
And it's
girl.
gonna hit me in the head. And like I've been smacked in the face. I've had a black eye from a camera. Because people are so inconsiderate. They don't understand your moment. You're leaving a venue. It's packed. Your focus is on the car. Devontae's focus was on the tunnel. He was also very frustrated over the game. And he's also been a player that we've never seen on the bad side of news. So but the news and the media and the paycheck somebody can get by using the word assault is so aggressive. And by the way, sideline cameramen and sound guys get tackled all the time by accident. They get caught in a play. Referees get caught in a play. Coaches get caught in a play. To me, this was no different. And so, yes, I do have a ton of emotion towards this because I hate to see Devontae being dragged. Yes, he did push him, but it's a jarring moment. And sometimes people have to give you a second to breathe. I mean, UFC is the only sport that I watch, and they're still bleeding. There's still blood gushing out of their heads, and they're giving the most calm interviews. And it blows my mind. I'm like, how can you switch it on and off? This was a mistake, but also remember something. Was it Patrick Mahomes or was it Kyler Murray, who was hit in the face by a fan this year after a game?
It was Murray.
Fans? Okay,
It was
Murray.
Murray.
Fans and people in general are more aggressive than ever.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm fine with the clearing your space mantra, right? If I'm walking at a pace towards you and you decide to put yourself in front of me, I have the option to clear that space that you just jumped in front of. So I'm emotional about it because I heard a ton of people who I consider wet blankets on air, like some people that just would nag and rag about anything, like he should be charged with this. Like, oh my gosh, this is an NFL player who's running off the field after an awful game and just wants to take a breath, just wants to go to his locker, just wants to breathe for a moment. So what is your take on this? Because it's ridiculous because now this photographer, by the way, is filing charges.
all of this is, by the way, home run by Justin Turner,
I see this.
3-3, Dodgers and Padres. This is all, well, look, it's all a money grab by
Yep.
this employee who got shoved by Davante Adams. Should Davante Adams do jail time for this? Of course not.
Of course
Should
not.
Davante Adams face some consequences for this? Of
He's
course
being
he
fined.
should.
He's being
Right?
fined.
Of course he
Yeah.
should.
Mhm.
And he's going to get sued by this guy. There's going to be a settlement. It's going to be a large sum of money. This money is going to change this human being's life. Okay. Whether it's, I was talking with Reggie Theus today at the Orlando Magic recording that we did for NBA radio. And he said he thought it would be around 500 grand. And so he's just worldly. He's the AD and the head coach of Bethune-Cookman, and Reggie Theus is a badass on planet Earth. So he would know more about that stuff than I did. And he estimated that he thought this guy would get about 500 large. Okay, that's life-changing money. So this guy's going to show up. He's going to have the neck brace on. Ouch, my neck. Ouch, my neck. He was taken to the hospital. He's filing charges. All this is all of the technical stuff that you have to do to get the money in the settlement from Davante. I don't even think this guy wants Davante to go to jail. If he does, he needs to calm down. So in terms of this guy walking in front of Davante Adams and then Davante Adams snapping, we have to be empathetic a little bit to Davante Adams here. And I'm not letting him off.
I'm totally empathetic to Davante Adams.
He shouldn't have done this, but think about they're 1-4. Okay. That was basically your season is over loss.
Yeah.
And the coach screwed it up by going for the 2-point conversion when he should have just taken the damn PAT. You lost by 1 point. So we're maybe 30-30. I don't know. But that was a dumbass thing. You don't need to do that, man. Stay on track and stay on schedule with the game. He didn't. So I don't know if Davante Adams was mad the car couldn't get him the ball. That Hunter Renfrow ran him down and knocked him over on the final pass route of the game, or just oh my God, we thought we were going to the Super Bowl and we're 1-4 and we just lost to the Chiefs. That's probably the most mad Davante's ever been in his entire life. And that guy walked right in front of Davante.
Right in front of him. Like,
okay?
right in front of him. Like, right in a momentum of, again, Davante is looking at the tunnel. Now, I also posed this to somebody today who I had this debate with. So why is it not in the conversation that Jordan Poole is filing assault charges against Draymond? Why is nobody saying that was assault? Because that was actually a closed fist hit. This was just Davante. And look, fans have been jumping in front of players. We just said a player got hit earlier this year. This was a bad moment, but you got to know better. Now, if the NFL was smart moving forward, everybody that walks on those sidelines will sign a release. Now, someone just brought up in here, I think it was Ghost, which I think is fantastic. The streaker that Wagner tackled,
yes.
Okay? He's filing charges for a concussion. The NFL should have a waiver with their ticket that you run on the field, it's on you. Like, you are breaking the law by right. There has to be, we have to get better. People are so wild that I don't even want to go to games because people are just so wild. I don't feel safe anymore in large groups like that. But it's too bad that the media is now kind of throwing gasoline on the fire with this guy, because I think he probably maybe walked off and thought, oh, that was just a bad moment. And then all he heard was everyone like, he should file assault charges. And poor Davante has never made a mistake like this before. He apologized immediately in the presser. He apologized again on Twitter. It was not his best moment, but gosh, if we're not allowed to make mistakes without it costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't want people to say, oh, he makes that much money. NFL players have to make all their money in most cases by the time they're 35 years old. They could live to be 100 years old. That is a lot of time to have to budget that same income. You're not going to get a secondary job. It's not guaranteed that everybody's going to go into broadcast and do things like Tony Romo and other people have. So we have to not look at it like, oh, you make this big amount, we take because you make it, it's disposable income. It's not. And they pay a luxury tax. They pay tax in every single city, every state that they play. Like, I'm pro player, but I just think it's funny how the conversation was, oh, Draymond is not being suspended and it's not considered assault, when that was actually a closed fist hit. And Davante's just rushing and just wants to get back in that locker room and just wipe the stench of that game. Take a deep breath, be alone. And somebody just jumps in front of you, I think your auto response is just get out of my space.
That was Jordan Poole's automatic response when Draymond got in his face, was just to bench press him off of him, which is a very normal reaction. Of course, Draymond had menace in mind and then dove in on with a very, very powerful and a punch with intent. This whole Devontae Adams thing, and I thought about this when I was watching the game live. One of my pet peeves living down here in Florida, okay, walking on the beach. And so I'm not like nerdy fast walker guy, but you're walking, right? You've got a cadence to your step, and you're walking in sand, and you're working out, and you're sweating, and you got the music going, and like there's a whole beeline approach to it, right? Every single time, some asshat that's down here on vacation, they walk from like their villa, their house, whatever they're saying, and go right into the water and make a straight line right in front of me. Do you see a human being walking on the beach? Do you see me literally walking fast as you're slow ass walking on your vacation into the beach? And they think that they have the right of way or something. So they literally walk right in front of you, and you have to like slow down, and you're the one walking. To me, and I afford people, like if I'm coming to the beach and going into the water and I see somebody walking, I slow up. I let them go. I know that they're in the groove and in the rhythm right now. But I'm telling you, it's without fail. And when I go on walks with Charity, she laughs about it because she knows that the complaint is coming, right? And she goes, just don't even do it. Just don't even do it.
Husband-wife thing.
Yeah, and so she goes, just don't even say it. I know what you're going to say. And so we just keep walking. Again, these people. And so that's what that guy did to Devontae. Devontae was the guy walking on the beach. I just want to walk without interruption here. And I mean, it's like 20 eruptions every time I go for a walk on the beach. And a walk on the beach is freaking amazing. Still, even with these interruptions from these asshats that have no consideration for other human beings at all.
Well, picture this. Picture being on a bike in Central Park. Now, it doesn't happen on the sidewalks because people in the city are very mindful because you're sharing a small amount of space and everybody's trying to fit on the sidewalks. People are very mindful. They are, though, thinking about ticketing tourists that don't walk fast enough, which I'm all for because they slow down the pace of everything.
Ticketing tourists who aren't walking fast enough? Is New York that poor? Is New York that cash poor that they've got to
listen,
more money out of these people?
It throws off the whole movement. But you're riding a bike and there's lights with crosswalks. The tourists never look and they just slowly come out. And do you know how many times I see the ambulance in Central Park?
Oh, no.
Because somebody was just taken out because you're going around a turn and people are riding their bikes pretty fast and then you're just slowly walking out. Sorry, but you're going to get taken out. So people slow walking when you're walking on the beach is one thing. But even me, I've had to slam my bike brakes on multiple times because somebody just like, I don't think they're going to do it. They see me coming and they just walk and they're usually looking down on their phone. We've got 2 minutes left to wrap this up. We've got great games going on in MLB, which I will now be able to turn on, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to see what's going on here.
Get you into some baseball.
So look, where are we at right now? You give us the rundown on both of these games.
So we're 3-3, San Diego and the Dodgers. We're in the top of the fourth. Kershaw's out there. Pitch count's high, folks. He's in the fourth inning here with no outs. His pitch count is at 62. He's not going to be in this game all that much longer. It's going to put stress on the Dodger bullpen. The Dodger bullpen was maybe the most impressive takeaway of that win yesterday. They got up 5, whatever it was. They ended up holding on 5-3. But their bullpen came in for Urias, who wasn't great yesterday. And the bullpen was great. They didn't give up a run. But this will stretch their bullpen even more. And then with the Atlanta and Philadelphia game, let me toggle over here and see what's going on here. I hit the
Philly ain't doing nothing, man. Philly ain't doing nothing.
No, they're not. Big spot here. All right, good timing here. 2-2 pitch and a big strikeout on Kyle Schwarber to get out of the 8th inning. So Phillies, they have 3 more outs here. They're down 3-0. There was a man on right there, and Iglesias, great trade by the Braves to bring him over from the Angels to be their 8th inning guy. And of course, in the night they'll bring their closer out. But I thought we'd get Braves baseball tonight. Now this Dodgers San Diego game is going to go deep into the evening. Lisa Ann, are you up for it? You going to be watching?
Well, I may have to stay up a little bit and do this. You got to unwind after a show. But everybody, we thank you so much for listening. There's so much great stuff going on here at bettorsports.com. We want you to be part of our daily talk shows on Better Sports Network. The Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, Moose and Keith with Mark and Keith. I'm just going to say Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Stay tuned for everything and make sure you're following all of the channels on social media at Bettor Network. And that's Bettor. Rick Kamla, a pleasure doing another show with you. I'm looking forward to next Wednesday night. Thank you all for joining in. More giveaways to come. I know that Giannis jersey owner is super excited. Game changer in life. Awesome things going on here. Thanks for joining us on Bettor Sports Live. Everybody have a great rest of your night. Tune into these MLB games. Stay up late. I mean, YOLO. We live once, right, Rick? You live once. You got to watch these games. It's never going to happen again.
Little sleepy the next day. It doesn't matter. You got to watch these games. It's once a year in October. Giddy up.
More exciting than tomorrow night's game. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and stay tuned for show that is coming up next on Bettor Sports Network. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla signing off on Bettor Sports Live.